season of MPL Philippines is brought to you by the following sponsors. Smart, the official tournament telco partner of MPL Philippines Season 11. Our official sponsor, Infinix. Infinix Note, ultra-fast gameplay. Our partners in esports, Maya, it's everything, and a bank. And Secret Lab, the official gaming chair of MPL Philippines. Experience the MPL Philippines Season 11 action live at Shooting Gallery Studios. Tickets are now available via tickettome.net. Get yours now. If you missed the matches and want to quickly recap what happened, visit our official website for post-match reports at ph-mpl.com/news. Don't forget to catch all of our official league content on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. To ensure the quality and fairness of our games, MPL Philippines is also monitored and supervised by the Games and Amusement Board. Dito sa tahanan ng pinakamalakas na Mobile Legends Bang Bang players sa buong mundo. Hindi ang malakas ang nagwawagi. Dahil ang magwawagi ay ang kikilalaning bagong malakas. Magandang araw Pilipinas, ako po si Mara Aquino and welcome to the second week of MPL Philippines Season 11. Now the stage is set and the unsung heroes of the league are ready to establish a new pecking order. Now we're gonna kick things off this week with Smart Omega versus a team that's aiming to defend their title, the MSC title, later on this year. That's RSG Slate Philippines. I know you're all excited for the first match of the day, kaya huwag natin patagalin pa. Casters, pasok!
The Kings of C have come out to play. Will H2's newfound confidence be enough to help the Raiders conquer the barangay? We're about to find out. Welcome, Mabuhay, at your service. My name is Leo. This here is Naisu in Midnight. We're bringing you today's opener for week 2. Konnichiwa. Glad to have you back. How's Japan?
Ohio gozaimasu. Oh, you like that? I didn't learn enough Japanese, but I'll tell you what. It was a great vacation. I missed week 1 a little bit, but I'm here to catch up now, and I'm glad to be back.
Watashi wa midnight desu. Sorry, I had to keep up. But yeah, it was an amazing week 1, Naisu. But I'm really more excited to witness this match between the Kings of C.
Both of them.
Both of them, yeah.
Before we begin, we are calling all the Smart and TNT users who are watching us right now. Continue to enjoy the power of Smart by registering your SIM. Visit smart.com.ph/SIMREG now and get free 3 gigs of data. Let's talk about what's going to be happening this week, starting with today, all right? It's the opener between, again, the Kings of Z, both MSC winning championship squads. One of them off to a great start, the other not so much.
Yeah, I feel like that's one of the biggest things, right, is kind of getting your footing. But every time we start a season, this is kind of the trend, I feel like, right? Week 1, you're trying to feel things out. How do they go? And then you want to adjust as soon as now, right? Week 2, and it starts here with, like you guys said, both Kings of the Sea. What do they bring to the table this time? I mean, like you said, the form of RSG, Slate has looked really good. Now, can Omega step up?
Well, the thing is, Omega, this is what we're used to seeing, with this team. They kind of, they're kind of struggling with the first few weeks. Because last time we saw Omega, crank up their first weeks of the game, they faltered in the playoffs. And right
every day with Maya.
Actually,
right now, I think this is, that's the typical storyline of Omega, but we want to see better, because the thing is, they lost Chakno, they lost a lot of key players on their squad, and I want to see Omega, strive for that new storyline that we want to see.
Yeah, it looks like we're back to form for the barangay. Later on tonight, we also have Nexplay EVOS facing off against Bren Esports. That's a rivalry you don't want to miss. Let's take a look into this week's data dive. We're seeing the rise of Ruby, much to my chagrin. Not a big Ruby fan, especially in the roam role, but as well, Moskov is also pretty big right now, especially since we saw some signs of life from the marksman in M4. 1-1 Enjoy still nowhere to be seen for the most part. If you can ban 1-1 Enjoy, do so. Are these up to snuff? Did you expect this kind of development, Naisu?
I mean, coming from M4, right, where all we saw is a lot of those, we saw so much carry, I feel like. And now, you have those rise, especially someone like Moskov. We saw him a little, glimpses of Moskov, but it's actually, I'm happy. I'm happy that Moskov is there. He's one of those marksmen, the gold laners, that just, it's fun to watch and also play, right? But when you get that attack speed going and you're just unleashing on people, not to mention the snipes with the spears, it's a pleasure to play and to watch.
I mean, I'm on the opposite side of the spectrum. I hate playing against Moskov.
Yeah.
And the thing is, it's a marksman that can deal with a lot of the current meta heroes, especially the Beatrix, the 1-1, even the carry. It's a gold laner that can match up pretty well on the lane, and that also scales hugely on the end game.
And it seemed like one of last week's rising stars. Again, it's not like H2 needed the help to shine, but he definitely is doing work with his new squad here, RSG Slate Philippines. Look at the growth. Look at how much he has changed, man. He's playing Fredrin, the only hero he's played since his debut here in Season 11, and he's doing wonders, man. You could have sworn he was someone new.
Oh yeah, this is what Panda does with a lot of his players. Like we saw Demon Kite, used to be a utility jungler back in his amateur days, really showed up in RSG when he played a lot of the assassins. And now, looking at the composition of RSG, Coach Panda might have felt that H2 needed to be the utility hero or the utility jungler for RSG, because a lot of the times this is what the comp is. This is what the comp is needed. So I think the Coach Panda does his magic to a lot of these players where he tweaks them to whatever the team requires.
I think that's a big thing, right? But at the same time, you guys know, I've said this many times, I am a fan of Demon Kite. I was when he came in for the debut, I think Season 8, right? So watching him and now watching H2O because Demon Kite's not here, I see some resemblance, and I feel like this is just taking two amazing individual players and that proof of, like you mentioned, the Coach Pandamentals, how he puts that to use with each player. And so that's, I feel like, why H2O fits so well in this puzzle that RSG is, and why things works out so well for them so far in the season.
I think it comes with a level of maturity as well. You see here he played a lot of Ling, Hayabusa, Pakiro. As a player, that's his identity. As a person, holistically, you couldn't ask for more from a professional player. H2O was also a streamer, content creator, a personality, and it's that kind of acceptance that allows him to be such a great mold for Coach Panda and RSG Slate Philippines to work with. For now, we're going to go ahead and prep up and slowly move into the matchup by hearing from courtside, because I think what happens behind the scenes should lead us up and give us a little taste of what might actually happen in the best of 3.
Oh yeah, we definitely need a lot of preview.
Here we go. Let's go on over and hear from Sona as he throws us even deeper into this matchup.
Kita nyo yan. Welcome everyone. Maraming salamat din sa ating mga casters. And we are actually live and alive over here at the Shooting Gallery Studios. What's up everyone? My name is Sona at sasaksihan natin ang ating pinakaunang serye sa araw na ito. Ang Barangay Smart Omega kontra sa RSG Slate Philippines. Now, a lot of teams have relied on new faces and new names para paigtingin ang kanilang mga magiging lineup para sa araw na ito. But specifically, para sa ating mga Raiders, they've stuck with the same players or some of the same players that they've had from before. And also, nagdagdag sila ng mga familiar faces na nakikita na rin natin all throughout the league. Another addition or another thing na kailangan din nating i-impart is in terms of the coaching staff. When we actually talk about Coach Panda, that is no stranger to the spotlight for the side of RSG, ay hindi mo maikakaila yung kanilang naibibigay sa kanyang team. With the teachings and learnings na naibibigay niya sa kanyang squad, they are going to be utmost winners. And hindi lang siya magiging spearhead ng strategy para sa RSG Slate, because you also have Coach Theo that is serving to be an assistant coach for RSG. Dahil nagkaroon siya ng experience sa ibang regions ng MPL sa ibang bansa, tsaka na makakatulong ito sa posibleng magiging dagdag ng mga strategies and mga lineups para sa kupunan ng RSG. Now let's talk about the players. The coaching staff is gonna be there para magbigay ng kanilang mga kaalaman, magbigay ng kanilang mga insights for the players to use. But when we talk about the players, merong tatlong manlalaro na nanatili sa main 5 given that the pressure is real for the Raiders, because this is technically their road para madepensahan ang kanilang MSC 2022 championship na ngayon ay posible na makuha nila ulit if they get one of the possible slots to get the victory. The 3 of these players, namely Light, Eman, and Nats, are still with the squad na magiging foundations ng RSG RSG para ipagpatuloy ang kanilang winning ways to keep the momentum that they've had from the previous seasons and to also claim the victory. Lalo na sila ang may pinaka-familiar or sila ang pinaka-familiarized sa playstyle na meron si Coach Panda and also with Coach Theo. Now, the super sub this time, not the super sub that much anymore dahil Exort will be the ones to claim the spotlight para sa Raiders. Nakikita natin siya madalas sa iba't ibang parte ng mga VODs nila. But speaking of which, ano ang magiging insight ni Exort heading forward into the season na nagiging parte na siya ng main 5? And last but not least, yung body-body system nga nila na nakita ko rin kanina is none other than their newest player, H2O. H2O, malaki ang paniniwala sa kanya ng napakaraming mga Raiders. Hindi lamang ng RSG but also in terms of the coaching staff and the players as well. Given na meron pa siyang potential na kayang ibigay na ang naniniwala sa kanya ay si Coach Panda. I mean, we've seen a lot of interviews from before and we know na hindi pa yata ito ang best na kayang ibigay. So, is it really different or is it still the same? Malalaman natin yan sa paparating na laban. Smart Omega versus RSG Slate Philippines. Casters, the floor is yours.
Thanks for the briefer, Sona. Again, a lot is going into this matchup. A lot is on the line, especially when you're talking about how the two coaches might actually clash. Two of the most decorated in terms of achievements and just tenureship. Acumen, Coach Pakbet versus Coach Panda. But as well for the players, on a personal level, there's a lot on the line. And we've had a lot of spotlight on H2. Do you think he's going to crumble in the pressure? Because, again, it's one thing to debut amazingly, but against Smart Omega, a team that is notorious for just starting off rocky and then just rocketing off from there. Same use of words there. Do you think H2's got it here today?
I think I think with H2O specifically, he's always had it, right? It's just the different environment maybe is having him excel. I was going to use the rocket analogy here, but basically he's excelling on that rocket because of these teammates, these team members that he's able to utilize for his play style, the way he plays around the rest of RSG Slate here. And, you know, that is something that Omega has to be conscious of, which I'm sure they are, especially after last week. So my biggest thing is, what are the adjustments here that Omega brings to this matchup against RSG when they know how they've been playing so far, especially just after one weekend?
Yeah, I mean, if there's any question about, you know, RSG's play style, like the fundamentals, this is the match to prove you're correct, because Omega, for the longest time, they've been known to play chaotically. And chaos usually destroys fundamental gameplay just because of the fact that you don't know what the enemy is going to be doing. So I think this is where, things gets done, and RSG can prove to themselves that this composition works with H2.
Historically, that is the statement. I believe it was around Season 9 when Coach Panda was very vocal about how he felt about Smart Omega's playstyle, which I'd say 60-70% still there. The fact that you still have Coach Pakbet, who is still the drafter, makes this all the more true. So that's something that we can watch out for, folks. If Smart Omega will still be the poison or the venom that just breaks through the procedural and some would say slow-paced approach RSG Slate Philippines has. Let's go ahead and welcome our two teams for this matchup. The showstopper Renzio leads the barangay into battle. A rocky start is familiar territory for this beloved team. Let's welcome on stage, Smart Omega! The spotlight is on H2 as he continues to thrive with his new team. The MSC 2022 Championship winning squad. Raiders and all, welcome RSG Slate Philippines! And their coaches, Coach Pakbet and Coach Panda. It's a clash of the Kings of C in a best of 3. Here we go. We've seen them walk in. It's Smart Omega fielding Kelra, Ryzen, Renzio, Stome, and Miko.
It is a different Smart Omega lineup. This is not what we're used to seeing. But again, there is a lot of challenge for this team. They have to find the new dynamics up against RSG Slate Philippines. I feel like there's a lot of different combinations that you can do with Smart Omega. But right now, we're seeing new faces in the form of Stome. And this is where the new dynamics will start to come in. He is replacing Etumax on this roster. And you know, coming up with a roster that doesn't have a natural captain, this is going to be a challenge for them because somebody has to step up.
Biggest challenge here for Smart Omega is just filling some big shoes, right? I mean, it's across the board. Yes, you have some names here that have been a part of this team for a while now, but still, you have big members that are now missing, and you have to fill those gaps in here of that roster. And like you mentioned, even that leadership role, who really hones that in, who takes that, you might have some guesses yourself, even if you guys are longtime fans of the Barangay, but still, that has to be figured out from them.
For Omega, it seems like it's huge steps. For RSG Slate Philippines, they just tweaked a few bits, introduced a new jungler in H2, and called it a day. He's joined by Eman, Nats, Exhort, and Light. They have never looked so good. I'm loving this lineup.
It's like, you know, watching a team that has a blueprint, you know, having a playstyle in mind, and it's just fitting the pieces together. And we all know Coach Panda has been able to, you know, do this a lot of times, like make a team and make it work. And this is the beauty of RSG Slate Philippines. They didn't change the playstyle. Yes, they swap heroes here and there, but the playstyle is all the same. This is still the fundamental gameplay of RSG Slate Philippines. Objectives is the most important part of their playstyle.
I know I'm a little late to the party, right? Because everybody saw this in week 1 and probably talked about it. But I just got to say, man, what happened to RSG, the boys here? Even Naf's like, he glowed up, and he grew taller, I think, too. Since, I mean, I feel like this is also an effect of just the transition that RSG Slate is making here as a team. And I think even in the crowd, I just saw him behind me. Demon Kite's here watching.
Oh, well, let's go ahead and throw over to our analyst to break it down. It's time for Keys to Victory.
Maraming salamat. Tingnan natin yung mga keys to victory ng dalawang teams natin. Because what we notice is yung Omega kailangan nilang bumawi after what? Losing 1-2 against Onyx, tapos 0-2 naman dun sa Bren Esports. So kailangan nilang gawin, don't let Nats box you out. Saktong-sakto pinag-uusapan natin kanina, mala Sakuragi na magaling mag-box out. Yan ang kailangan nilang pigilan dito. We saw kung gaano ka-instrumental ang XP lane usage ng RSG by utilizing Nats dun sa mga Lord and mga Turtle teamfights kung saan magaling siyang mag-zone out. Para naman sa RSG, pwede silang mag-draft ng burst heroes to for Exhort to deal with Kelra. Alam natin na ang laging win condition ng Omega for the longest time is ibigay lahat kay Kelra ang mga farm at bigyan Phoenix.
Thank you so much, Wolf. A lot of key points. Some resonate, some of them work for both teams, but as the pressure on gold lane was emphasized, it's no secret that Smart Omega plays around Kelra.
Yeah, Actually, every keys there ties up with each other. RSG Slate Philippines has always been known to have this amazing burst damage coming out from their lineup that always targets the gold laner. And I think if you're Smart Omega, that's going to be a big problem because you all know that RSG Slate Philippines will always target the main man of your squad, the main damage dealer, which is why, Nats should be the priority here for Omega because you do not want that guy to be just coming into your face and taking over the game.
Well, right now, as we get into the draft of the game for game number 1 anyway, you can already see, you guys mentioned, the bans, how this kind of meta is going to fall into place here, but already seeing the Kadita taking out that Kaja as well, Wan across the board for them. We'll see what else RSG Slate wants to take out.
While being on the blue side, it's interesting to think how Coach Pakbet might be playing with that one hero trade. It's huge how he sets the pace there. For Coach Panda, I think he's happy to be on the red side. Do you agree, Panda? Do you agree, Midnight? You work closely with Panda here for years prior. That's how I read the situation.
Yeah, I mean, as much as I want to be Panda right now, I do think that Coach Panda has always been the guy, especially up against teams like this. He would want to get second pick because you do get that 2 picks powerhouse draft combo wherein you can react to whatever the opponent throws at you at the first pick. And you also get that ultimate last pick, which is going to become a factor here up against Smart Omega because you have that secret weapon that you can hide up against their phases. And right now, I'm seeing that there's a lot of potential for RSG Slate Philippines to maximize those 2 picks coming on their first phase, especially with the presence of the Valentinas, the Glues, and even the recently buffed heroes.
Oh, the Faramis is being set up. So even if Glue is open, the answer's there. You can't get both.
You can't get both, right? But I'm wondering, too, like, if you leave that open, I could still see Smart Omega picking up the glue there. They want to play around that. It's just honestly, ever since, I feel like for the past couple months now, few months, whatever it is, glue is just so strong. There's the Faramis ban, like you were just mentioning. But let's see. They don't. They go with the Fredrin here.
Ooh, first time HU not going to be able to play that Fredrin. But again, Valentina is still open. Actually, Carry is still open. Something that RSG Slate Philippines would, love to snatch, especially up against Kelra.
Moskov is also open, so that's 2 birds with 1 stone. Yeah. I love the gambit, though, that Coach Etomas and Coach Pakbet are employing here. Now what, John Paul? No more Fredin. What do? He's forcing H2 to grow up now. He's forcing H2 to show more heroes.
Yeah, like what else, right?
Well, there's Glue Farsa, right? Those
neither
pop up here. Neither. Because that's the thing, though. H2O, he doesn't. Okay, yes, he played Fredrin pretty much all last week, but he doesn't need it, right? His hero pool is pretty deep. He can go with a different angle that he wants to, and with them securing the glue and Farsa, that already checks a lot of boxes for them.
I like this. Getting the Fredrin first pick and then switching up the roll to XP, picking up the Hayabusa, just ensuring that H2, whatever route you want to go on, that ain't possible anymore. If you want to go Assassin, there's the Ling, there's the Lancelot, but also do take note, the Paquito is still open.
Yeah.
I wonder, I was going to say, right, from the graphics we had earlier, we saw the Paquito there, but I'm wondering, do we see, and this was debated also online a little bit, do we see the tank Lancelot in the hands
Please
of
no.
H2O?
Hey.
I'm on the desk. Please no.
Midnight, it's 50-50 now. Ken from Falcon used to rock it, failed.
Yeah.
MP the King does it a lot, but we're still not there yet. The jury's still out. There's the Moskov last pick in the first phase by RSG, so clearly going to go into the hands of Eman. What's Coach Panda thinking? What's he going to ban out?
I think you ban out both Claude and Carry right now, or you leave the Carry open because you do have the Glue and also the Moskov. You ban the Claude and then the Beatrix, just to make sure that Smart Omega is forced to go that route wherein you pick up the Carry and then suddenly, RSG Slate Philippines has just so many answers.
Seems to be difficult to consider what might happen in the gold lane for Omega. And I think this is their best chance at it. They're trying to do exactly what you said, Midnight, hide that last pick, and they're doing the same thing for Kelra. It's like, all right, Kelra, be safe. And it looks like RSG's biting on it. They're like saying, okay, we'll take out the Beatrix, maybe take out the Brody after, and then you go into the carry, we beat you up.
Oh,
I mean,
man.
in-game. Just to be clear.
No, not in real life.
Babakana. Well,
Pero their strike.
the thing is, okay, they take out that Beatrix, they take out the Wan. Obviously, going with the keys to victory, right? Kind of focusing, honing in on that gold lane. But this is what we see all the time against Omega, whereas, I mean, now it's a little more dire because, again, those shoes to fill, you're used to having more of that dynamic with Omega working, right? But now you have to rely a lot on how does Renzio play out in the XP lane? How does Miko even do? And fill those parts in because you can't always just put all your eggs in one basket in Kelra because we know how that could play out here, especially against a team like RSG Slate Philippines.
Yeah, like there's a lot of existing threats for Smart Omega, and I do love that you pointed out, especially with Renzio playing into this game. You're a Fredrin XP laner up against a Glue. It's not a hard matchup per se, but what Glue does is just so much better compared to the Fredrin because it is an XP laner that can just, walk straight towards your gold laner and you can't do anything about it. He just presses, split, and then what? Who's going to kill him? Especially, if Brody is out. But Claude is on the pool. Remember that this is still a threat that Smart Omega can go on, but it's just so much easier to shut down a Claude.
Claude seems good against the Glue. I mean, as soon as you go split, that's a lot of stacks on the Art of Thievery, but I hit it when I'm right. They were so hell-bent on allowing just certain heroes for Kelra. For Omega, though, are they going to take out another roamer? I think they're okay with Light picking up the Cho. They'll just give it up and then say, Stone, pick up the Way of the Dragon.
Yeah, either that or you go for a Franco here because you're expecting the Claude to pop out anytime on the side of Smart Omega. But it does leave more options for for RSG Slate Philippines. I love the Hilda ban. There's nothing on their side that can deal with the Hilda at the moment.
We want Ryzen to play. Let's just
Ryzen, I got you. Don't worry. You're gonna be able to play Hayabusa.
Of junglers.
So again, RSG Slate Philippines, they can pick up the jungler now, but I do think that there is a specific threat that can be done, especially with Omega's 2 picks. If you pick up a roamer that can deal with both the Hayabusa and the Valentina, so there you go. They straight pick up the Cho for Light. So I think HU0 is going to be left towards the last pick unless he wants to go for a Cho jungler. I don't know if if John Paul is feeling it. Please don't. Again, Franco is still a threat, but knowing that...
Historically speaking, it was Coach Panda who debuted the jungle
with
Cho.
Demon Kite, right?
Yeah.
Ooh,
well, there's another hero that you mentioned. You don't particularly like seeing. That was a
Ruby.
I know. Yep. It's a. We don't get to see it, but that was a Ruby that popped up.
She was offended.
Yep. She got hit by Hellcurt's ult for a bit. She'll be back for sure. But yeah, no, that wraps up Omega's draft, right?
Yeah.
It's a Roam, Ruby, and then a Harith in the gold lane. So there's a solid amount of damage spread there. Good magic, good physical.
Yeah.
What does RSG pick up here? What do they give?
Either you go Paquito here or Karina. But if you're crazy enough, I want to see a Lunox jungler.
You want to see something spicier in the jungle, but there's still the flexibility factor here. We're going to find out in just a few seconds what is locked in, and it's going to go ahead and be Martiz.
Oh, right.
Okay, so still relatively a safe pick for jungle, right? You have the Martiz, focus on the objectives, and you got to admit, too, like Martiz is pretty... I was gonna say scary, but he's not scary. He's just annoying to deal with because you can't lock him down when you want to, right?
He's solid. I'd say he's solid. This March pickup for RSG Slate Philippines at the tail end of the draft is much like Wolf's call for Omega. I don't know where that's coming from, but as soon as in-game a poll shows up, you only have until the timer runs out to comment your prediction with the hashtag SmartPowersMPL-S11. Now, more on that Martis. With RSG Slate picking up that Martis, it felt like you were looking in the cupboard for something to put on your bread, late night snack, like 2 a.m., 3 a.m. You found a jar of peanut butter. Like, oh, I didn't know I had that. Because that's what Martis is. He's not offensive. It doesn't hurt to pick up the Martis. He's peanut butter.
Yeah. He's there. He's available.
He's
and I think, with Coach Panda being at the helm of RSG Slate Philippines, he was like, okay, we play into Ruby. We need to get a jungler that, doesn't really necessarily supplement our lineup, but just deals with the Ruby in the early game, especially well with the CC immunity that Martis gets.
So yeah, overall, I think both teams drafted well. It's just a matter of making that Hayabusa work. And here's the hope in the Barangay have it figured out. Game 1 between Smart Omega and RSG Slate Philippines is upon us. Look at this mirrored start, orange for both. No, actually, they've rotated already. We're 45 seconds in.
Yeah, they're already jumping into it, right? And at the same time, the biggest factor here for Omega already aside from Kelra playing this Harith here, how this transitions, it's going to be a good matchup versus that Moskov, but specifically Ryzen, right? Rolling with an Assassin Jungler pick, especially against H2O and the Smarties, you want to find those early pickoffs, those early kills as fast as possible. Start that snowball for you and your team.
You definitely want the momentum for Smart Omega, especially having Harith on your lineup, which activates at the mid-game. You need to get that early start because RSG, once they get their damage from the Feathered Airstrike, Mart is going to start popping off because of the the kit of having the ability to just completely decimate heroes if their HP falls to a certain threshold.
And this is how you do it. Again, you threaten this snowball lineup with, I'd say, unsolicited courage. Like, there's no reason that RSG should have made a 4-man rotation, but they did. And they caught Omega thinking, yo, is this for real? Are they doing this?
I mean, I think the biggest thing for that is, again, allowing Emon to not have as bad of a time against this Harith pick, because if they just leave Emon alone, he is going to get picked on, right? So I expect to see that here from RSG Slate as it leads into this first turtle of the game.
Yeah, again, these are the fundamentals of RSG Slate Philippines gameplay. Just putting heroes on the top lane, just making sure that there's enough pressure for Kelra to not be able to make a move. These are concepts that are easily abused by RSG.
Okay, well, it's H2O securing the first turtle of the game. Light comes in with the kick. Nothing commencing out of it, but they grab the objective.
That's as clean as it gets for a lineup that is arguably on the back foot against an assassin jungler.
Yeah.
They did well. They timed that turtle. They spaced out Ryzen. They threatened him. They saw where the shadow was. So it's clear. And this whole time, Evan was just farming.
Yeah, again, they didn't want to fight. They just wanted to put enough pressure on the front lines against Smart Omega. It's like if if you ask RSG, how much objective pressure do you want? Yes.
Yes.
Yes, that's the answer.
And that's what we can expect in the first 5 or 6 minutes until at least Expert has some burst, and then H2 can, just chase down and then combine and then I'd say daisy chain his decimates.
No, the other thing too is, if you're Stome here, you have your own kind of puzzle game. There's the way of the dragon. They might be able to get it, and it's Miko that falls here. First blood going to the hands of Exort already. Now the eyes here on the top side. Might be crashing down on Kelra. Kelra's got to be careful here. Gets the focus. H2O beyond the turret. There's the Zaman Force. Going to push RSG Slate back for now.
I love this gameplay from RSG Slate Philippines. Again, these are fundamental aspects of the game. These are concepts that are, played at the highest level. Just bursting that Ruby on the gold lane because they knew that they needed to rotate. Hold that thought.
Nice pick here. Exort going to flicker her out, though. Can't get away as Stome grabs the kill himself. And there you go. They even it out, but still, RSG Slate has a minor advantage here.
Now the question, we're not out of the woods if you're thinking as a member of the barangay. They did get a pick off. It's a trade on the board, 1-for-1, 4 minutes in. Where does it convert into? Where do they put that win?
Yeah, the thing is, if they win skirmishes, they still have to wait. RSG right now, they're the ones making the moves on the map. They're the ones making the pressure. And again, as you've said earlier, all while everything is happening, Eman is just farming. And this is a Moskov. It's a Moskov that scales hugely on the end game. Even though you have a Harith, it can be activated in the mid game, where Smart Omega comes in. They need to find that window where they can fight into RSG. But with Light and Exort's positioning, they don't allow that from Smart Omega because they're always ready to fight.
Look at this immaculate pull by Renzio. He knows that the answer to the question earlier posed by Midnight for RSG Slate was yes. And what he's doing is there's no clear decision from Ryzen. He's still taking his orange. He's just delaying it. So this is a great answer, I'd say, on the fly.
Yeah, it's like, Smart Omega knowing what the steps are for RSG, and it just delays a little bit. You don't have to contest it. You just have to make sure that you create that window where RSG is delayed enough such that Smart Omega's timing gets bigger and wider.
Oh, well, right now Light's going to get pulled in. Should be fine. It gets out just like that. And okay, they trade the turtle here, right? So that's 2 now in the hands of RSG Slate. And I felt like they wanted to go with a play up top, at least focus on Emin, not let him just keep farming up like you guys mentioned. But inevitably, it didn't result into anything. Light, though, comes in. There's the way of the dragon right under everybody. Ryzen still going to be able to get away, though. Comes back in. Everybody just backs off for now. A lot of this push and pull.
Look at the discipline from Ryzen. He knew that he wasn't going to die. If that was me, if I was Hayabusa, I would have ulted right there.
You know, honestly, it's such a crazy skirmish that went on. Both Miko and Light had the same idea. Unfortunately, H2 was in the middle of using his second skill, and he was not able to press the Decimate to finish off Ryzen. But again, the discipline, both of them, they just backed off. Nobody chased. Nobody went for a greedier kill. They knew that they needed to get away and go back to whatever they're doing.
Well, still here, the assault and the focus right now in the jungle of Omega. Ryzen should be able to grab his purple. Still going to be fighting for it. Wasn't able to get it. It's retreat away from him.
No!
The peanut butter attack.
Oh!
Well, H2,
He needed that.
H2 was level 9 at that point, and Ryzen is level 8. So retribution damage was higher on the side of RSG Slate Philippines, which crippled Smart Omega's timing quite a bit because, the tempo maker or the momentum-based hero is now completely shut off. Because without the purple buff, it's hard for Smart Omega to make plays around his Hayabusa.
Crippled, more like destroyed. There's no way Smart Omega is snowballing right now. They're past the time limit.
He was decimated.
Oh. This is hard. Being a member of the barangay right now, it's difficult to watch this game. And as RSG pummels on through, just again, procedurally, cakewalking their way through the early game, they're about 2K ahead. What does this mean for Eman and Kelra up top? Because we haven't seen much action from them.
Well, it's much of a farm game for both sides. But again, RSG Slate Philippines, they're getting all the objectives here.
Cool.
Meanwhile, in
Renzio.
the turtle area,
2 versus 1. I don't think he's going to be able to escape much from here. There's their Praiser's Wrath. Still about half health. Work done. Ryzen goes up on the top side. Rest of the teams all fighting top side while it's a 2 versus 1 on the bottom side. Renzio able to survive, though. There it is once again, but they're still focusing here. Emon, though, trying to get a kill. Can't get the pick he was looking for. Now it's a 2 versus 2 top side. Renzio finally gets taken out bottom as we have our eyes set on the top. And it's just a back and forth.
I was going to say that was a win for Omega. The fact that Renzio didn't die, but eventually he fell, and then there was a messy trade up top. I don't know where this puts both teams. I'd say RSG still in the lead.
yeah, Ryzen died on top lane. Light and Eman outplayed 3 heroes on the side of Smart Omega. This is not something that you want if you're holding this kind of lineup. Again, momentum is everything for Smart Omega. Yes, you do have late game scaling, but compared against RSG's lineup where the Martist will just stand on the front lines, guard Eman, it's going to be really hard.
Oh, that was a nice pick there. Emon going to get punished as I was just admiring how fast that Moskov attacks, but that's how fast he gets taken out as well.
Yeah.
I'll take that flicker trade for a pickoff on Moskov any day. Kelra was happy there.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Eman was definitely much happier because he took a tower. He did miss a wave, but they're completely getting so much control over the side of Smart Omega, and they can't even take the tower in the top lane. Exort is there to defend, and again, this is the roles of RSG. Okay, you know what? Gold lane is not here. It's not going to be able to defend my tower. I'm going to sack my middle lane. Hold that thought.
They're going to get a nice pull on H2O, though, with I'm Offended. Light has to flicker out. And now it's Omega turning slowly here, the tide of the game, able to find a couple pickoffs himself. And with Kelro grabbing that kill, we're going to start to see this Harith pick kind of shine as we get into that mid to late game transition.
Impressive use of the Way of the Dragon, though. Dare I say, Omega, yes, they're starting to find their wins. Oh, look at this. They're making a beeline for the Lord. This is a worthy trade for that tier 2 up top.
We'll see if they can fight this one. It's going to be less than half health. The pull comes in. Emon gets the turret on the top side. Lord still low here. And it's Exort that grabs it. And now Nas stuck on Miko. Grabs a kill himself. And everybody from Omega still focusing on Nats. He falls here, but it's a trade for RSG Slate Philippines.
Nats could have died twice with that Lord Seal and that push by Eman up top, and it would have still been worth it.
Oh my goodness, Exort with the magic worship, and I believe what took the Lord was a proc from the Lightning Truncheon, which is now, well, has been completed by, a lot earlier. But again, RSG, they just took everything from Smart Omega. That feathered airstrike was beautifully placed. It was perfect. It hit 3 heroes on the side of Smart Omega, and the beautiful thing is that the timing could not have, could not have been better because he was able to land a feathered airstrike outside of the retribution range. So Smart Omega was forced to back away, and then the last strike from the from the bird took the Lord.
That's worth 2 green dots. I'd say it was worth 2 feathered airstrikes for Exort. And now they're back in the lead, about 3K ahead, 11 minutes in. And the map is not called home for Omega nowhere. Even their jungle is dangerous.
Well, going back to the keys to victory here, right? You give Exor that bursty hero. I would say he got it, right? You guys talked about how valuable that feathered airstrike with that lightning truncheon worked out. It's working out great for them. So that begs the question, what does Omega do about this, especially with the momentum that RSG Slate has right now?
I mean, at this point, you have to, introduce crazy chaos in this game. Like, look for potential pickoffs on the side of RSG Slate Philippines. But, what's making it hard for them is that Light and Exort is always positioning themselves in a way that it covers a lot of the important areas of the map, and also making sure that they're always ready to fight. So I think for Smart Omega, you need to be able to force errors on the side of RSG Slate Philippines, because by the looks of it, RSG right now, they don't want to waste time, farming out the map. They just want to be able to fight.
A quick assessment of what these lineups are bringing, right? Omega has a solid amount of CC. I'm wondering what it's going to take for RSG Slate Philippines to fall into that. I think if Omega can just chain those, they'd be great. They'd be fine. So far, all of RSG's wins have been off the back of single pickoffs, spaced out engagements.
Yeah, but I think it's hard to do that, because look at the front lines. It's always going to be the Martis, with CC immunity, the Glue, which technically has a full reset with a split, and Light with a Shunpo. Again, CC immunity. How do you, deal with this kind of lineup wherein you also have to worry about the Barca? Yes, you do have the Hayabusa, but it's always the vision game, and RSG Slate Philippines has always been one step ahead, because, the show is always at your face.
Yeah, I think that's one of the biggest things here, too, is the responsibility of Miko specifically to get those, whether it's the flicker or not, with the I'm offended. And if he can somehow catch Exort, I feel like that is a big piece of the puzzle. You take a lot of that burst away, and it would give you that advantage, because Kelra, he's not having a terrible game. He's 2-0-2 on this Harith pick. If he can get RSG Slate in that Zombie Forest the way he wants to, you take out that burst potential from RSG Slate, you're in a good position. And now it starts here with this next Lord.
Main worry for Smart Omega, however, is the damage output of this Moskov Eman with the Inspire. Even though Kelra does get a lot of shields from every proc of his hits, again, the problem is that you cannot underestimate the damage output of a Moskov, especially with the Martis on their lineup. If your HP falls to this threshold, you immediately just die.
Spotted with just that one engage!
Light's going to go in with the Way of the Dragon. They're going to focus on Renzio. Gets chopped into the wall. But there is Kelra. But look at the damage from Emon. And he goes down as Kelra's on a killing spree. Nav's still going in. It's a trade, though, as Stone falls next.
H2?
Only Emon down here. H2O able to get out of dodge. And just like that, RSG winning that fight. It was rather messy, though.
2 for 1. And say what you will about the math between Moscow's basic attacks and Harriet's shielding, but he's called the Filipino Savage for a reason. Kelra played that immaculately well, but it's not enough to pull Omega out of this, not quite yet.
It's still hard, because it took the the attention away from Eman for RSG Slate Philippines to just focus on getting Renzio, but Miko was also standing in front of the Moskov. That's why the last hit didn't come out. So Kelra was able to dash away and get out safely, but RSG Slate Philippines, again, you're now seeing the damage output of this lineup. Even the Fredrin felt like he was a squishy hero.
Yeah. I mean, when he got just pushed into the wall. But here's the thing, right? Kelra picking up that Divine Glaive just now, this is going to be in a great position for them to, again, fight for this Lord, right? They stopped RSG Slate from getting it previously, so they do have what it takes to actually contest this and fight for it.
That last engagement, I'd call maybe 3/4 step forward. Like, it wasn't clearly ahead, but it showed some teeth from Omega.
Yeah, it wasn't the step, but there's signs there. There's a glimmer of hope for Smart Omega. But again, positioning is going to be very, very important here for both sides. Light did, however, try to pick off the Fredrin, which what started that affair for RSG Slate Philippines. It wasn't the most unfavorable. It wasn't the most favorable position for them.
Yeah.
So I think that's the that's where RSG Slate Philippines can adjust to. With Joe on the front line, you need to be able to have this amazing patience to just look for heroes, constantly look for the Hayabusa and also the Harith on the side of Omega.
Light's going to go in again with the Way of the Dragon, trying to find a kill here. Miko does fall, but it's going to be a trade as Light's taken out too. Renzio grabbing a kill for himself, still focusing down quite low. Storm goes in with the flicker, gets pushed back. Can't get the kill he was looking for. Still going to be alive though, has the split. Oh! But Emon able to clean up. And now Naz on the
Kelra.
hunt here. Emon versus the world. It's a 1 versus 3. Doesn't have enough, though, to get the kill. Able to survive for another day.
Deja vu, this looks like that last big team fight.
Yeah, but this time
Deja
around,
vu.
RSG, they had a better way of engaging into Smart Omega. Light chose to go on Miko, with which what started that fight. Even though they picked off the Ruby, Omega was able to get into position where they're able to fight. But again, the main concern is the damage output of the Moscow right now. Even Kelra, with huge amounts of shields coming out from the passive, it's still not enough. And Eman was able to just completely maneuver around Omega's mobility, and he survived.
Reminds us of Eman's Beatrix from MSC 2022. Each of Moscow's spears right now remind us of a single Wesker blast.
I was going to say.
It's pretty close.
And it's, the guy doesn't even need guns, right? He's just got a spear. And you can see the damage that he's pumping out here, but still, even with that, right, you have Omega, they have to deal with this Lord on the top side. They might most likely lose an inhibitor turret here. That they have great defense potential, especially against this siege, but there's the charge up.
Yeah.
Lord gonna work on that turret for now.
In front of Forza, however, you see the damage from the feathered airstrike. One hit onto the Hayabusa,
Oh, yeah.
50% of his HP. This is gonna become a problem for Smart Omega because now the cooldowns on Exhort, it's much lower on the feathered airstrike.
So far, given the trades that's been happening across the past 3 or 4 big team fights, Omega needs better timing. Omega needs a better angle because there's a 2-step plan here. H2 forcing the issue with Light.
Oh, Light's gonna try to cut them off here. Who does he focus on? There's the way of the dragon. Renzio still gonna be alive here. The Zaman Force was committed. No one going down just yet. Now Miko, though, in trouble. H2O still looking for another as well. There's the immortality. It's gonna be popped. Miko falls here. Light somehow still alive.
Kelra, this is a much harder game on this Harith. It's kind of awkward for the Harith, to fight into RSG Slate Philippines, because you do ask the question, where do you start to get out? Do I consume the rest of the Zaman Force just to make sure that I get to a safe space, or do I fully commit? And that's why Kelra has not died yet in this game, because the majority of this, the team fights that are happening, Kelra was just trying to run away from the Moscow.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing with Moskov when he's across from you is, one, you have to watch out from being pushed into a wall or maybe your teammates. You have to watch out for just that auto attack burst damage pretty much. And when you're doing that, there's a lot here to watch out for because the initiation's just like this as well. But you can see, right, RSG Slate is so good at just poking down a little bit, and sometimes they kind of fake you out with these initiations.
There's a very little opportunity cost for RSG Slate Philippines. The way that they engage, they don't even have to commit much. And this is what I was saying about Omega needing better timing, better angles.
Yeah.
They have to be sure when they get into a fight, it's either we win or we lose a trade. And so far, that's what's been happening. That's why RSG is in control.
Yeah, and imagine, we said a lot on the side of Omega, and for RSG, it's just 2 things. 18 seconds on the feathered airstrike.
Yes.
And then Eman just hitting the towers.
2 things.
That's just that.
Just auto-attacking.
2 things for Omega. It's a grocery list. All right, Renzio has to find Eman. Miko has to get a good tempo break. I'm offended. Ryzen needs to isolate somebody. He's rocking high and dry. Keller needs to make sure that this is the Zaman Force that matters.
Yes.
So again, that's oh.
Well, there's the checklist, grocery list, whatever it is, but they go with it. Kelra marks that box, steals the Lord. Focusing on Light here, but can they come out with this team fight on top? Emon getting deleted by Ryzen as Emon falls.
No.
And Lord in the hands of Smart Omega.
Is that what they needed? They needed me to enumerate what to do, and they were listening. All right, you got it.
They went into a supermarket and bought everything. I would want to commend Miko for controlling RSG. None of the junglers were able to land a retribution on the Lord, but the control was there. And Kelra, again, being the main hero on the side of Smart Omega, instead of trying to fight, he secured the Lord. And this is really important for Smart Omega because now they control the tempo. They have the Ruby, they don't have the Flicker, however. They're fighting into the feathered airstrike, but right now, this is a much better position to be in because you dictate how to start the fight.
Oh, right now, this Lord's still up here. It's going to work on this inhibitor turret. That's going to be a loss of a turret here in the base of RSG Slate. Looking for any angle they can find here. Emon trying to clear the mid lane. And right now, given how the last 20 minutes of the game have gone, this is best case scenario for Omega. I mean, they're back in this game here.
This is good old-fashioned Omega. This is how they've been playing for the longest time since being established as a team, as a lineup, as a franchise, whatever you want to call it. This is why we love them.
This is the Omega timers, ladies and gentlemen. Smart Omega, they're now the ones controlling the tempo, but I do want to point out that Exor just completed the Divine Glaive. The Feathered Airstrike is going to start hurting more compared to what it used to be. Now, Smart Omega, they need to be completely aware of the positioning of the heroes on the side of RSG. If they're able to replicate what they did on that team fight in the Lord, just Miko standing on the front line and catching the heroes on the side of RSG off guard and having this amazing space for Kelra, they have a chance of fighting into that. But also, do take note, damage output is still going to become an issue because Ammon and Nexhort just outputs more compared to what what they can dish out.
All right, so truth be told, about 3 minutes earlier, Omega was at a deficit, and they still won that engagement. They got away with a major objective. Now it's RSG's turn. They have to figure out how to solve this problem.
Yeah.
And is it safe to say that you figure out how to deal with Kelra, you're good?
I mean, for RSG, I think so.
Well, right now, they don't even want to let that happen, right? Conceal play going to come out. Look at Light, though, on the map.
Ooh,
waiting for an angle. He can. He's going to get spotted out here a little bit, though. Flickers in. He blunders it. Has to get out here. Miko, too. That's 2 flickers down. Now it's Renzio going in. Kelra pushing mid lane, though. RSG Slate's going to back off. There you go, Renzio. Still the focus here, H2O. Now going to get taken out. Immortality gets popped. Kelra did work in the mid lane. And now the rest of RSG Slate still going to back off here. They have 2 inhibitors down. It's even across the board. Kelra, Nav's stuck to him. Looking to pull him back if he can. He can't get it. Now he's still with a team, and Lord is up.
The timing between that. Oh, there's a done. Another Zaman Force.
Am on.
Another flicker going to come out here. Both teams. But look, this has been the trend of this game. The push and pull between both teams.
Midnight, did you see that? If Nats's usage of leaving that gluling and the grab was perfect, Kelra would be kaput.
Yeah, but RSG, again, this is becoming a problem for them right now. Smart Omega, this is the chaos that they want to introduce in the game. Okay, let's take crazy fights. But instead of having the Harriet participate in the fights, let's just have him, clear the minion wave and pressure the towers. And Exort, he didn't know where to go. Do I defend? Do I fight? Because H2 just lost his immortality, and that's the way you want to fight with Smart Omega. Have RSG be confused so that they don't know where to commit. Because, look at their lineup. They need to win fights. But Omega, they can delay fights.
Miko on the hunt again. Conceal play going to come out, just pushing H2O back. Still focusing on this Lord here. It's going to be the next one. This could actually end the game for them. It is going to be the 4th Lord of the game.
For sure.
And right now, both teams don't want to let this one go, as everybody trying to fight for pretty much space around this whole thing. Look at Light, too, looking for a setup. He whiffed it earlier.
Yeah.
So he's got to be crucial on how he approaches this next one.
It was an amazing position from Light. However, Ryzen, the awareness to just check the bush, because you can't play, without the threat of the Cho. I mean, you cannot underestimate the threat of a Cho waiting on the push. So he had to check everything that he wants to walk on so that he ensures that Smart Omega can just walk over this area safely. And that's where RSG fell apart. When Ryzen saw the Cho, they knew that the members of RSG is here, La Cho is here, Farsa is definitely going to be there, Ammon will not be here. Then we start choking the map because they all know where the members of RSG are.
And with that, Midnight, 25 minutes later, it seems like the tables have turned. Now it's RSG Slate's turn to actually get overloaded. Each hero in each role has to do several things to be able to answer this chaos that Omega is presenting. I just watched Exor. He's still there. Nice was talking. Midnight was on. Now I'm still talking. He's still there. He was sitting in that same bush.
That's called patience, but right now, Nav's going to be the focus here. 3 members of Smart Omega. They get the split out, right? So that is a minor advantage, but not sure if they want to fully commit to this just yet. Also, Ryzen still bottom side, trying to hold on to that turret, the last one for their base.
Yeah, I am feeling the pressure here on the side of RSG. The players know it. There's always that threat of crazy plays coming out from Smart Omega. Even Exort's positioning has been affected. The feathered airstrike that we saw earlier didn't really matter that much for Smart Omega because they were able to run away from it. But again, Light, he's trying to make another attempt on the back line of Smart Omega. This is what he is used to doing. But Omega, they have reviewed RSG. This is the favorite bush of Light. Whenever RSG tries to take Lords, he is always on that bush.
And that's the angle he uses. Whether or not the fight was over, they can punish, or they can just, again, come in and then make sure that the opponents get wiped out. Again, this is what they call turn to heroes. Now, this is the first time we've seen actually RSG in a while, at least in the past 5-6 minutes, rotate this wide, this huge in this map.
Yeah, but this does give an advantage to Smart Omega because, skirmishes are much more favorable for them because the Hayabusa is just mobile enough to move around the map. And mind you, the Harith is going to become a problem if you don't fight 5 into 5 if you're RSG, because he will be able to delete some heroes if it's just a small skirmish. And it's small commitment for him because the Zaman Force, yes, it is a huge commitment, it is a huge ultimate, but its cooldown now is quite low.
Yeah, and I mean, given that, he doesn't have, from last I looked, he doesn't have an immortality, right?
Oh.
So H2O going to take quite a bit of damage here, gets knocked up a little bit too. Now 1/4 health, still has immortality. Like I said, Kelra's going to completely rely on that Zaman Force, the regen, those shields to stay alive and really kind of force the situation in that Zaman Force where it's more favorable for Smart Omega to fight in.
And look at that, with that small engagement, there's a pull of Nats.
Nats in trouble here. Zaman Force going to come
Kelra?
out, split as well.
No
There's
Zaman
Emon,
Force.
though. Now Renzio trying to do something. Appraiser's Wrath comes out. It's going to back off for now. Look at Ryzen, though, quite low as well. Exort has to get out of here. Stone took the feathered airstrike. And again, we're back to the situation. The push and pull, even ground.
A lot of green taken away from RSG as well. 3 of their major battle spells, while Omega is doing great. Look at this, Omega only really lost Stone's Flicker.
Yeah. And Inspire was also committed by Eman, so if you're a Smart Omega, you'd consider that the damage output is greatly reduced on the side of RSG, but you still have to worry about the positioning of Warsa, because the presence of the Feathered Airstrike into this Lord fight is going to matter a lot.
Well, they're still going to press the situation here.
Light,
though, able to find the target. Immortality is popped.
Oh, the
Can they
Truncheon.
grab the kill? Winter Truncheon going to come out. Still looking for it.
Stone!
Stone's still alive for now. And it's Naz finally able to take out Stone. And now he's down. Look at Emon coming from the angles here. Into the jungle he goes. Renzio going to be the focus. They get the flicker out.
Base.
Kelra still top side. Minions are in the base. It's Exor that gets deleted here.
Oh,
Kelra still alive and Light in trouble now,
Emon!
too. Emon going to hit the Lord to heal up, but he could be in trouble. Flickers in.
Miko?
Can't get the pull he's looking for.
Oh!
And Ryzen takes out Light here as 2 are down for RSG Slate.
2 for 1 so far, went the long way around, but now Omega's making a beeline for the Lord.
This is such a big mess for RSG. They don't know where to fully commit. There's a lot of skirmishes happening on the side of Smart Omega. And the thing is, even if you try to chase for RSG, Omega will always get the upper hand. They can reset fights and take multiple of them.
Emon, though, Appraiser's Wrath going to take him half health here. Should be able to heal back up. The spear comes out. Ryzen's in trouble. H2O holding off in the retribution. The shadow kill comes out. And Ryzen pops the immortality and gets the Lord on top of it. And now Renzio and Naz here. Miko pulling the retreat. They don't want to go down after that play. And Ryzen again with an amazing play.
This game can go on forever, but the cleaner decides this has to end someday soon. What a major pickup for Omega.
Omega, they just know how to execute fights better compared to RSG. And again, having this multiple fights is, really great for them.
They're going to get the pull they need. Emon's taken out here. This is going to be the final push for Smart Omega. 30 minutes in. Lord's still there. And they're just going to be seconds away here from end of the game. Kelra taking out Navs. And like that, Smart Omega comes in, turning the game around.
And that's game 1. A major victory for the Barangay, despite having a rocky start. Could have sworn their snowball was denied. They find the W.
This is hard for RSG. That Lord fight was really, really crucial, and that was what separated Smart Omega from the fundamental, gameplay, wherein you just break the core identity of their comp, then they fall apart. Multiple fights were happening simultaneously, and RSG didn't know where to commit.
I guess Wolf knew something we didn't. you know, Wolf voting here for Smart Omega, still believing in those Omega timers. And, I mean, this is where they shine from season to season. It's Omega timers for a reason. That was a 30-minute game. And I feel like that switch started on, 20-minute mark? I think it was at the 20-minute mark.
Yeah, after that
19.
long Lord dance.
Yeah, they showed their teeth, and, I mean, that was the result of it all. And just those minute decisions, which really turned the tides of those team fights.
Now,
were
help me
crucial.
recall. Is this the longest record match in Season 11 so far? 30-something.
I think so. Yeah, I think so.
I
Because
mean,
the last time was 27.
27.
That was TNC, right?
Yeah.
TNC Nexplay EVOS. Now,
The Zilong one.
MDL has a 32-minute match,
Ooh.
but now we have for
20
something pretty close.
Yeah, 29. Again, this is really hard for RSG Slate Philippines, which is better for Smart Omega.
Why don't you tell us more about it, Midnight? Talk to us and break down game number 1.
Well, it is the magic of the Barangay. Smart Omega takes game number 1 against RSG Slate Philippines. That is what we're going to be breaking down here in the analyst desk. Once again, my name is Midnight. And, you know, Smart Omega, they do have that kind of magic in them wherein they just make better decisions on end game fights. And the crucial factor about this game is the positioning of the heroes on both sides, especially on the end game. RSG did take a lot of the momentum away from Smart Omega on the early parts of this game, having amazing tactics on the back of their playstyle with the concepts like pressuring the gold lane, just putting your your heroes in front of Smart Omega so that they don't take fights. But Smart Omega, they held their ground. They knew for a fact that team fight is always going to become a major game breaker in this game. If you are able to outmaneuver the team fight heavy composition of RSG, then you start getting, the conditions to clear out this game, and that is what Omega did. In the end game, they started taking multiple fights, and this is what their lineup allows them to have, especially with amazing sustains with the likes of Ruby and Friendrin standing on front lines. Actually, they divided their roles. Ruby was guarding Kelra's team fight while Renzio was just, starting his own, looking for his own barangay, and Smart Omega took many fights against RSG on the late game, wherein they found issues of commitment from RSG Slate Philippines, because you know that you need to put all your eggs into one basket if you're RSG, because Eman is not going to be able to take fights against Smart Omega alone, let alone H2 with other heroes on the side of RSG Slate Philippines. If they're able to win fights, it should be S5, and that is what Smart Omega capitalized on. Looking at the team fight participation, Kelra having 85%. Considering that this has been a quiet game for Smart Omega, this does show you the importance of having that Harith participate on fights. And this is what we were discussing earlier, the need for Smart Omega to capitalize on the mid game. Or even though it wasn't met, the condition was still there. They needed to 5 as 1. And even though Eman found a lot of farm in this game, Kelra was able to amass such a huge lead on the late game, especially with that amazing damage output coming out from the Divine Glaive and also the Holy Crystal and Calamity Reaper. Does secure a lot of damage output on the late game, especially against the tanky heroes of RSG Slate Philippines, which is why he is our MVP. Didn't even die in that game. Having that Purify is that assurance that you're not going to be able to be controlled by RSG Slate Philippines solidified Kelra's positioning on fights. And again, we talked about how important he was in the engagements. He knew that he needed to survive. He even committed multiple Zaman forces just to make sure that he was able to dash away completely from the engagements of RSG Slate Philippines, which made it hard for RSG to kind of fight into Smart Omega, considering that even if they have the Farsa standing on the back line, Omega is going to be having a hard time dealing with Farsa. Come the late game, when the Immortality started popping out and also the Guardian's Helmet, which does provide HP regen, they can reset fights. That's where Omega's advantage came in. The ability to just move around fights and take it into their own terms and also dictate how fights are started. That is what broke the game here for RSG Slate Philippines. Now we're seeing the MVP highlights here. The moments of during the early game, RSG was in complete control, even though there were decisions that were not favorable for RSG Slate Philippines, such as that the catch onto the Fredrin. Eman was taken out and Kelra was able to survive. And the focus of RSG Slate Philippines is to take away the front line of Smart Omega. The idea behind that is if you take away the guy that takes vision for Smart Omega, then you can you can unify your team fight. But come the late game, there were multiple fights happening. Kelra was looking for his own engagement. Renzio standing on a different ground of Smart Omega. It confused RSG Slate Philippines because how do you commit the skills? Where do you place the feathered airstrike? Where does Glue stand? How does Eman fight into two heroes in front of his face? And it's really hard for RSG to kind of solve that because it's on the terms of Smart Omega, and it was really hard for them to play around that. And it was just wonderful execution by the Barangay, realizing that the threat is no longer on the side of RSG. They started dictating how the team fights are now started. And now looking at the checklist of our keys to victory, again, applying pressure on the gold lane. We all saw that from both sides, especially with Renzio always in front of Eman. But the most important thing is that Nuts wasn't really boxing out the Harriet, because even if he commits the split, they all back away, and they back away as one. Once that's done, they start looking for multiple fights. It's not a 5v5 engagement anymore. It's now all about trying to look for your own skirmish for Smart Omega, and that is again what broke RSG Slate Philippines, because it's hard for them to commit into these fights without knowing how to deal with Smart Omega. And Kelra, having a lot of fights, Kelra was put in a better position because then there was no longer a threat of being bursted down. Exort was primarily focusing on poking the heroes on the front line, and Kelra was given a much larger space come the end game.
Allow me to present a thesis statement, Doctor. Is it possible that that last key to victory may have been the reason why this game went 30 minutes? The fact that neither team committed to pressuring. Because again, what was it? Up until 12, 13 minutes, like, yo, what the hell's happening with the gold lane? Nobody's making noise up there. Is it the reason why you think this went this long is the fact that nobody really bothered Emma nor Kelra?
Honestly, I think it could have been, it could have been shorter if RSG stuck with, what they're supposed to do. Because during the mid to late game transition, they started focusing on the front lines, like the V, the Fredrins, and they forgot about the Harith. And when Smart Omega realized that, hey, we can take multiple fights instead of putting all the pressure in one fight, then you start seeing that Exort uses the feathered airstrike to wither down the HP of Fredrin or try to look for a pickup on Stone. Keller just he just had a better time.
Joseph, do you concur?
I was going to say, okay, I do concur, right? But at the same time, I think it was asked, I think you asked this during the game, is the answer just take out Kelra, right? And even the key to victory there. But still, I feel like what we saw through this game, through the 30-minute game, was even Ryzen, when he was like he was, I mean, score-wise, he wasn't having a good time, right? On Hayabusa.
It was a bad Hayabusa game.
Yeah, it wasn't good. But the guy got the kills when he needed to. Ryzen took the Lord when he needed to. And a lot of that started with everybody kind of filling their role. Even Renzio on the Fredrin, man. He eventually found the knockups, found the taunts that he needed to.
The way that Ryzen played this game is, I think you've seen this meme. It's SpongeBob. He's like, whoo! It's this game, right? Is it like, it's a Hayabusa game that plays 30 minutes? No.
Yeah. And looking at, in retrospect, all of them had a hard job. Kelra needing to survive hard against this lineup. Fredrin against a Moskov, again, like, how do you sustain a Moskov that just dashes away? But, the commitment from Renzio, he was willing to die for it, just to make sure that RG had no team fight.
I mean, that's why Fredrin walks the way he does, right? He walks so cool because literally half the time he's just walking to people, taking the hits, and not dying. And then the thing is, too, when we looked at those highlights there, I'm sure some of you guys at home caught this, but the exact timing on Kelra's usage of that Purify was immaculate, because there was times when he got knocked into the wall, and if it was 1 second too late, he would have died. Emon would have stayed alive and would just unleashed on the rest of the team.
And that's why the Filipino Savages mechanics is second to none, all right? And mind you, folks, we've been talking about the team that actually won, all right? The fact that it's the team that won was the one that had so much difficulty. Where does this put RSG Slate Philippines, right? What's going on in the minds of our MSC 2022 champions? We'll get to that in just a bit. We'd like to remind everybody about how to get tickets to watch MPL Philippines Season 11, all right? Catch the action live here at the Shooting Gallery Studios. Tickets are now available via ticket2me.net. Get yours now and join us. You don't want to miss out. We're on every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Now, let's talk about RSG Slate Philippines. What's going on in their minds?
I think the current headspace for RSG right now is just big pressure on their shoulders, because they had full control.
They had that game, yeah.
But the main problem is, I would say that they forgot what they're supposed to do during the mid to late game transition, because looking at the opposite side, again, I want to go back to what we said earlier. It was a bad Hayabusa game, not because of the performance of Ryzen. It was indeed a bad Hayabusa game. Like, if you're going to ask me, I'm not going to play Hayabusa in that game. It's really hard.
Especially against Martis.
Yeah, and he knew what he needed to do. He checked a lot of bushes.
Yeah.
He, he always uses the shadow to get vision if Miko is not able to do that for Smart Omega. And he was not trying to fight at all. He was just poking heroes in the front line of RSG. And, playing a Hayabusa against a Cho, you're always going to be doing, you're always capable of doing that because it's hard for Light to react to whatever Ryzen is doing. And, again, what we saw earlier when he checked that bush, when he saw Light, he was like, in Filipino, Oy, kita ko! It means, hey, I saw the Cho.
Oh, he's here, huh?
Oh.
He's there. Translation, yeah. But that's good points because, yeah, typically you wouldn't have a good time, right? Playing Hayabusa versus a Martis, and again, they left that pick for the end, right? They left it there for a reason. The Martis were locked in, but that whatever happened there, that was still supposed to be RSG's game, right? I mean, essentially it was, but Smart Omega, you can't count them out, even if the names that people are used to seeing there aren't there. These are the guys now. And I feel like this kind of chaos, as you mentioned earlier, Midnight, this is what they like to play. They like to play this game. They work from those deficits. They have always the potential to turn things around. Now, it was only game one, but I'm wondering, too, exactly how do they approach the next game? How do they possibly sweep RSG Slate and win this whole Kings of the Sea battle?
Reverse sweep it, you mean? Now, we've been asking so many questions specifically for the team, right, as a whole, as a 5-man, hell, 6, 7-man, along with your coaches. But I have a question. Neil, Jean-Paul Salonga, H2. We started this matchup with a spotlight. Nay, we put the young man, H2, core H2, under the microscope.
Yeah.
What's going on in his head now? Because, again, we mentioned it wasn't a bad Martis game. He was doing great. Immaculate pulls, nice zoning, the threat of the Decimate and the CC. How does he approach game 2 here?
Well, Dan, I think you still stick to what works. Objective is still really, really important for RSG Slate Philippines. But what is most important right now is to completely forget game number 1. I mean, you still take the lessons, like positioning and all. But the pressure of game 1, that shouldn't affect game number 2. I think a reset is important here, and that is where Coach Panda comes in. He's going to be tapping John Paul Salonga's back. Hey, you know what? Forget about game 1. You're going to play a good game 2. And as you've said, he played a good Martis game. There were some shortcomings on their end, but it was because of Smart Omega forcing the errors, which we discussed on game number 1. They were forcing errors on the side of RSG Slate Philippines, and you can't do anything about that. You can change the dynamics after this game because then you can start reviewing the replays. But game number 2, complete reset. Focus on what you're able to do on this game.
And what they can do is set up a great draft. Here we go. Game 2. It's RSG's turn to be on the blue. Omega answering back. They got the 2-pick swing. There goes the Faramis and the Fanny taken out by Coach Panda and Coach Theo. Smart Omega, what's their second ban after the 1-1?
Fredrin. Just kidding. Well, RSG Slate Philippines, they're now first pick. So I think both teams are eyeing at Fredrin right now, especially with H2, having a fantastic debut with that hero. Even though the Martis was kind of okay, it was a lackluster game 1.
Yeah.
Because it had to deal with a lot of issues, in the late game. So I think that's that's where both teams are looking forward to picking up. Fredrin first pick is going to be highly contested unless Smart Omega bans it out.
I mean, looking at the last game too, I wouldn't say H2O had a bad game at all by any means. I just think, like you guys mentioned, there was mistakes across the board from every member of RSG Slate to the point where that mid to late game, those mistakes built up on top of each other, and it was just compound interest for Smart Omega to turn around, right? So, and one of the things specifically is, we see Light a lot on the show, but unfortunately he wasn't able to get all the picks that he needed to for the team here. So first pick, there is the Fredrin, like you guys mentioned, and that'll most likely be going in the hands of H2O.
So, Farsa, they steal the Farsa away. I thought they were going to go with Valentina.
Farsa Glue.
Farsa Glue is definitely open. I would want to see a Farsa Lapu-Lapu so that RSG Slate doesn't get a Lapu-Lapu themselves.
That's not so bad. Yeah, actually. Why pick the boogeyman? Why pick the problem when you can pick up the solution? And they did!
There's a reason why Coach Bakbet is dubbed as the best coach in the universe, He knows his stuff. And Lapu-Lapu is a good laner against Glue, so why not, You get Farsa, you don't get countered by Lapu-Lapu. It's a good laner against, against a Glue. And it also checks the keys to victory. It's a hero that can shut down your gold laner.
Straight up dive, whatever Eman is doing. That trademark, Moskov is still out there. The Beatrix as well.
Claude.
Now, given all of these heroes, right, we mentioned 3 already, immediately. Do we have to force the gold laner this early?
I think so.
I mean, given the previous draft, I think you are better off picking it in this first phase than having things narrowed down to the point where, again, across the board, Emon didn't have a terrible game on Moskov. But look at that. It's actually just going to be the Valentina locked in here in the Yuzhong.
It's good. It's good for RSG because you get 2 powerhouse picks on the form of Valentina and Yuzhong, but you just gave a Claude to Kelra.
Again, I think the approach for both RSG, Slate, and Omega is why pick the problem? You can pick the solution. Doesn't matter what marksman you have. Nats is going to come get you.
Yeah, the Yuzhong, it's not specialty, but I just have a lot of, points where RSG, they will see the weakness of this draft if you're up against. Oh, they still go back to the Harith instead of the Claude. Interesting.
I guess that's better, right? I mean, if you coming off the previous game again, you're talking about, for RSG Slate, it's like, forget the previous game because technically that should have been ours, but in this case, Kalra had an amazing game on the Harith. Why not just pick it again? But, you got to make sure too that with the Farsa, with the Harith, you round it out really well with whatever you decide to bring, 1, in the jungle, and 2, what is your roam pick, right? What do you have to solidify this lineup here? There it is on the screen, too. Again, Demon Kite here.
You missed him.
Yeah. Missed him. I missed the guy.
Nice has the biggest smile.
Yes, I do. I love Demon Kite, but he's here to support the team. And, again, I see a lot of resemblance between H2O and Demon Kite, to be honest.
Well, unfortunately, we're not going to be able to see assassin picks because Fredrin is out for RSG. I would have wanted to see a Ling against this lineup of, Smart Omega, but unfortunately, it's not going to be happening. So RSG Slate Philippines, they start banning out the assassins against Ryzen. Hayabusa is now out, but there is, however, a Lancelot threat from Smart Omega. I don't know. Maybe they're doing the Lancelot shenanigans with the tank build, but it's definitely a potential pick for Ryzen.
All right. If the Ling doesn't get banned out here, then maybe they do go for the Tank Lancelot. Makes me giggle. But also, they can go for Nakai. That's not out of the question, especially if you have Zaman Force and the Feathered Airstrike.
Okay.
You just
Link's
be
banned out.
zoning them back in. Yeah, there you go. Lance.
I want me some Julian.
Oh, please, with the new skin. Come on.
You're up against Yuzhong, Valentina, Fredrin. Okay, they go for the Kufra. Ooh. Although Chak was out, this is still Smart Omega Classic.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's still a color for them, right? And, I think it's fine. Kufra being locked in here, you provide yourself a lot of CC, a lot of that tankiness too. And you're going to also probably have to peel a lot as well if you need to. Just allowing Kelra again to kind of bob and weave with that Zaman Force, or even just the burst damage coming out here, right? Kufra's a great option. And still, it begs to question, what is that jungle pick for Smart Omega here?
I think utility is the way to go for Smart Omega, considering that their composition primarily revolves around protecting the Harith while also providing space for the Farsa. But they go for the carry, which I love. However, the Franco,
You love
a
it.
little bit worrying for me because there is that Kufra on the other
Yeah.
side. You know, it's always going to be an issue for Light to, you know, when it comes to, you know, the headspace of the Franco. Like, how do I bite this Harith when there's a Kufra that can jump in? And again,
Does it tank a lot?
at this point, I don't know. At this point, I don't know where I'm getting this, you know, these ideas. But Lancelot really did look awesome when I saw Fredrin, Valentina, and the Yuzon.
Yeah, because literally there's only one ult Exort wants. Just one. He gets any of the others, doesn't make sense.
Yeah, and the thing about Lancelot Fredrin matchup is that how do you catch the Lancelot? You know, he just dashes through you.
You don't.
You don't. I mean, even if you do catch him and he is, you know, tank, then what? Like,
Please no.
You know?
Ryzen, no.
That's the next step, all right? I'm happy that we see Lancelot again back in the MPL, but is it a tank Lancelot a la Ken, a la MP the King? MP, it's in the franchise!
Oh,
Omega
no.
Neos, they played this!
Yeah, I know.
It's those...
But I want to see a Ryzen full
Like a proper
committal
Lancelot.
Yeah, I want to see, you know, some killer instincts there.
To make a statement, too, that, you know, you can still play Lancelot like this.
Yeah.
All right. So the choice of emblem doesn't say anything, all right? Even if it is a Demon Slayer, we still don't know. Let's get into game 2. This is RSG Slate's last chance to reverse sweep it, or will Omega walk away with their first series win?
If it starts seeing some orange aura, I'm going to be mad. Because that's the molten essence, you know? And it will become a tank
I
Lancelot.
hear the gears. I hear the gears.
Welcome to the gears. What's up? Mike, what grinds my gears? Midnight edition.
Welcome to the desk, you know, gentlemen. Lancelot, it's a hero that does a lot of damage, if not the tank build.
Well,
But we'll see.
we'll see how it all plays out here, right? I mean, they still gotta. I mean, they're gonna have to transition to this already. The fight, though, breaking out for the Lith Wanderer. H2O taking quite a bit of damage. Ryzen, though, just gonna poke a little bit here. Might actually want to contest this too. Part of the jungle
knows.
goes in, uses that retribution as well. He's gonna back off for now. Miko
No dash, I think.
charge up here, and they back off for now.
Okay, I don't see any orange aura aside
yet.
from the orange buff. Well, this is usually the timing where you get the molten essence, so I think we're safe.
Homie could possibly be behind. Look, he didn't get his smaller camps from up top.
I mean, don't get the gear started, Leo.
They're already started. They're going to be grinding
Nice
here
dodge.
pretty soon. Yeah, nice dodge. So, I mean, again, going back to this lineup specifically, however Ryzen decides to build this Lancelot, I feel like you still have the damage in check, right? A lot of it is going to be the magic damage, though. So if itemization comes into play here for RSG Slate, and they have all those magic resist items that they really need to survive that burst, I feel like that's where it's troublesome for Omega. So I would like, with that being said, to see Ryzen just go damage so that they have that physical aspect.
They
to their
need that
damage.
supplement because
Yeah.
your main problem is that if Kelra tries to man fight a carry, it's hard to do that because you know she just outputs so much damage.
Well, they're going to go for it now. Nav's going to get taken out by Miko. H2O,
wow.
though, able to secure the first turtle of the game.
Against a Lancelot.
And against a losing team fight. You lost your XP laner, but you still had eyes on the objective. All right. Oh, what?
Okay, they
that's
get.
a
I mean,
Purify.
they get the Purify out. Nice hook there. So Kelra doesn't have that, but you know Miko's just around the corner.
There's a flicker bite though from the Franco, but again, Kufra is up there to protect the Harith, just to be able to give him some breathing space to make sure that the mid-game spike is open for Smart Omega.
We're about 3 minutes in. Omega up by
Oh!
about 500 gold.
I saw the orange aura. No.
That's it. The
No,
gears
Ryzen,
have been
no.
grinded, folks. At best, it's a hybrid build. And at best, it's the tank build.
I see the molten essence.
Who needs physical damage when you can melt them to death?
With what?
The molten essence.
I mean, the main concept of Lancelot against Fredrin is that you're able to walk away from the Fredrin. Now you want to maximize the damage for the molten essence.
Yeah.
You have to stick with the Fredrin.
Why win in 5 seconds when you can win in 15? But you still win anyways.
Because it's all about Omega timers. That's why. You
Oh,
know? Bring it to the late game. Tank a lot wins.
All right.
It's about prolonging the fights, right?
Yes, I was going to say, Midnight, even Renzio's Lapu-Lapu, all right? The showstopper has unorthodox amount of damage, right? You experienced
I guess,
a
yeah,
lapu-lapu, so yeah. Like,
It's a huge physical damage threat against RSG Slate Philippines. But again, what we were discussing about earlier, when Nice mentioned that the supplement, I don't think it's enough, honestly.
well, we'll see.
Well, I mean, at this point, you can see them focusing here on the bottom side. Ryzen trying to make his way there. Just can't get it. Light dodge! Pull! Kelra able to take down Light, though. So they get that trade. Stone with a feathered airstrike, trying to close in. Kelra low here. Exort trying to look for the kill. Can't get it. Gets knocked up and taken out as Stone grabs the kill. Still on the hunt here for Emon. Gets the flicker out.
See, it's these long engagements, Midnight. This is what they were going for.
Yeah, I mean, if you have this kind of momentum for Smart Omega, maybe you don't need the damage from the Lancelot, because right now Kelra is at an amazing momentum. And I thought the Labu Labu was on the side of RSG, but Exort, just copied the ultimate. But top lane, however.
Yeah, Renzio, nothing you can do there, right? That was a nice little dodge there. And he goes down on the top side. So RSG able to get on the board finally 5 minutes into the game.
Yep, gold lane.
2v1.
Gold lane.
Yeah.
However, gold lane, this is an issue for RSG. They need to deal with this. Carry.
Oh, Miko, though, with a nice set. Emon getting taken out. Light grabs Miko. Punish him as well, but that's going to be the first turret being taken out as well here for Smart Omega.
Huge problem, folks, for RSG. Killer is now up. Currently at 102, I believe the Calamity Reaper has already been bought, and he's already on the way towards that Feather of Heaven. So more attack speed, more dashes in the team fight, more mobility, meaning more ability to catch up to the damage output of Emon.
And now it's just a matter of time. It's just a matter of Kelra saying, yes, let's do this, and then we convert from there. I think this is a better spot than what they were in Game 1, and they won Game 1.
Oh, yeah, way better. This is, I mean, considering how the previous game went, it's just a good position for Omega to be in here as they now focus once again on this side of the bush, still waiting for the next turtle to come up in about 40 seconds.
Feather of Heaven now up on Kelra.
Here it is.
They should start looking to fight in the mid lane just to be able to maximize the tempo that they have right now, which is RSG. The reason why they're here is that they know that there's going to be a lot of grouping up coming out from Smart Omega. They put the carry on the bottom lane. He can deal with the Lapu Lapu, and it also is around the turtle area. And look at Omega. They're moving S4. But, however, bottom lane.
Oh, they're going to look for a play here. You can't survive that. He's going to get deleted. Renzio falls bottom side. So RSG able to grab a kill they're looking for. They might also try to get that turret. The turtle coming up here in just a couple of seconds.
Did he just use Retribution on the
Yep.
He did.
He did. He doesn't need the retribution, he thinks.
Well, he's going to need it now. Eventually, RSG Slate Philippines translates that into a push down bottom, but they do let go of top. So, Ryzen, where you going?
Ryzen going in there, but he's half health here. He's going to get zoned out by Nats. So, yeah, H2O doesn't need that retribution. Thankfully for that turtle, he secures it for them, but they do lose the turret, tier 2, top side.
Yep, we haven't seen the not specialty, however, yet with the Yuzong, but there was a glimpse against Ryzen. It's hard for Smart Omega to contest objectives like that, especially when RSG is grouped up around objectives, because you also have to worry about the potential catch coming out from the Franco and also the Petrify combo after the Black Dragon form, which is why Omega, they decided to go with a tower on the top lane. It's a much better trade, I think, because the resource battle is really, really important in this game. The economical damage that Omega is bringing into the table, does put a lot of lid to stop the farming ability of the carry, which means bigger window for the Harry to play with.
Midnight, it's not even a hybrid build. It's all in tank.
It's all in tank, yeah. I was about to say. I was looking at the damage output of Ryzen earlier. Quite on the lower spectrum. But again, Kelra is an amazing momentum right now, so I think you're given a free pass to do that. But late game, however, that's going to become an issue because carry shreds through that.
Different story when we come late game.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, we're at the 8-minute mark. Lord spawns in about a minute. I believe Stome used that to just clear the wave and check other bushes. RSG, though, has owned the lower half of the map for a majority of the past 5 minutes.
I think they're doing an okay job here, right? RSG Slate, given how pretty much the early game went in favor of Smart Omega here, RSG has done a pretty good job at just holding on. Now, biggest thing is, like you mentioned, Emon, right? And how this next Lord goes. Because what you're seeing is Smart Omega, they're going to go ahead and clear as much as they can, clear some of these lanes, even them out, so that they can have a better position favoring for this Lord, which they already do, right? They have that tier 2 down top side. Everybody's holding on to their tier 1s in the mid lane, but still, if they can find a pick, then they're going to set themselves up for that first Lord coming up now.
Yeah, RSG, they're doing a buddy-buddy system right now just to be able to clear waves. Bottom lane, however, Miko!
Come in, there's the damage. Exort able to grab the kill. Zaman Force comes out. Kelra now wants to punish Light as he makes him fall, picking up the Holy Crystal as well. So that's a trade, the 1-for-1, and it's Light and Renzio that are down.
It's RSG's turn right now to, look for a crazy and chaotic fight. And look at this.
Nav's going in, but look at the damage there, getting punished. Nav's not sure what he was thinking, but still, Ryzen working on this Lord. This should just be a free Lord here for the hands of Smart Omega.
Well, I do give the credit to the tank Lancelot. It's a much better Lord taking hero compared to the physical damage Lancelot because of the passive damage that you get from the retribution, the higher HP you have. So Omega, again, they get the control over the objective. Again, it's a big commitment from Nuts to try and, pick off Stone right there. But still, RSG is doing a fantastic job on just controlling the map, getting something out of it, and having Eman just completely farm during this window where Omega is quite silent in Torment.
And that's the key here. The fact that RSG still is doing something with a bad situation. We'll see if the turn actually happens, the switch up. Look at this now. Omega's going to start making use of this 3K gold. They're going to live inside RSG's jungle. Where RSG's not, best believe Omega's going to take everything there.
Yeah, you can see it. Like, even RSG was trying to do the same thing, right? They're looking for those picks. But unfortunately, every time they find one, there's an answer. Okay, Miko's going to whiff that, but they do get the tier 1 finally. Mid lane, Lord still being slowed down a little bit by Navs. They're trying to hold on to any space they can here before that siege into the base.
Yeah, this is really becoming hard for RSG. Hard to defend against the onslaught of Omega, even though Miko whipped the flicker combo there. It just shows the amount of threat that they have right now, especially with 2 dominance eyes on their side. The damage output is still limited on Ammon because of the attack speed reduction. And you see 2 Divine Glaives coming out from Kelra and Stone. So more damage output on the magic department for the side of Smart Omega. They don't even need physical right now.
Are we going to force Emon back? Nav trying to buy some time here. Turret finally getting taken out. Renzio jumps in the backside. Here comes Horizon. It's a tank a lot. Can't get the kill, though, he was looking for. Exort comes in, able to take Ryzen out. Now Kelra the focus. Emon taking Kelra down. Not able to get anything just yet. Exort now in trouble, but Renzio's the one that falls. And there you go, everyone from RSG slate still alive.
Thou shalt not raid the Raiders. The Barangay was punished hard for that overcommitment. But hey, they got something. They pushed in. They threaded the base. Look at the base at half health.
They went complete Adele right there, too deep for Smart Omega. And, their lineup, yes, it can dive, but diving that deep, they don't have the best mobility. I mean, Storm could get away with Wings by Wings, but Kelra, without the Zaman Force, that was the first crucial mistake of Omega in this game. RSG, they can chase. They have the Dragon, they have Fredrin, and also the Valentina could just control the heroes on the side of Smart Omega, and that gave a lot of space for Eman to work with, and he was able to move around the team fight, and he found Kelra. And the damage output, right now we're seeing, without the effect of the Dominance Ice, any hero on the side of Omega dies within 2 seconds.
And that is Kelra's first death in this series.
In this series,
Well, I mean, that's the thing, right? With Emon, at some point this carry is going to be an obstacle to deal with, right? And you saw just how fast any of the tank members can get melted down. Or, honestly, anybody can get melted down, even the Lancelot, right? So now at this point, it's like, all right, well, RSG did a good job at whittling down that gold lead that Smart Omega had for such quite a bit of time here. And now they're in a good position to actually contest this Lord fight instead of just giving it up.
This is a much harder fight now for Smart Omega, considering that Eman just bought the Athena shield. So reducing the damage of the Feathered Airstrike and also the burst potential coming out from Kelra, it's going to be a little hard and tricky for Smart Omega to take out the gold laner of RSG, which is also a big problem for them because he is the main damage healer. However, there's a lot of obstacles at play on the side of RSG. You also have to worry about the Dragon, Fredrin on the front line, just having this huge amounts of HP with also an Athena shield at his pocket, so more survivability for RSG. Now you talk about prolonging fights, RSG also wants that.
Well, right now, the hook's going to land here on the mark as he gets deleted off the map. Renzio out of here.
2
Iron
seconds.
Hook on target. And like we said, it's only going to take a couple of seconds for someone to get whittled, actually just bursted down with the way that carry works here. So still, Miko might be looking for an angle himself. A Lord here just above half health. No one committing just yet as it's danced around by both teams.
Light.
Renzio is down though, so number advantage for RSG Slate here. H2O still has to be careful how he approaches this fight.
Bro, they dogpiled on the 2-time MPL champion Renzio. I have never seen a Lapu-Lapu melted that fast. Here's the jump.
Miko though, and they're going to punish Nats as he falls. Another hook's going to land here. Miko finally falling. Kelra takes out Exort, and they're pushing him back into the side as Kelra able to grab another kill, and a Lord is secured by Stome. Smart Omega just punishing RSG Slate here. What a sidestep from Ryzen.
Oh my
able to dodge the
goodness.
appraisal's wrath. And this could be it as Smart Omega has their eyes set on the base of RSG Slate.
There's a push down bottom, and Omega are making a beeline down mid. Lord has spawned up top. It's the chaos. RSG Slate does not know how to deal with the chaos.
7 seconds. 7 seconds. The cannon is inside the base.
That's going to be it. Smart Omega in a clean fashion, sweeping this series 2-0 versus RSG Slate.
This is Omega's first series win in Season 11.
Wolf knew something we didn't.
The only prediction.
Wolf, I mean, the guy knew something, right? But what we do know here, after seeing this game, is, wow, Omega is a concern. The question was earlier, are they still that last one? Are they still that, for the international viewers, the venom, the poison? I think yes, they are.
This is clearly an answer to that question. Yes.
Yes.
I mean, we can predict drafts. Wolf can predict series outcomes. But what RSG cannot predict is the unpredictability of the chaos. It took one fight. Miko getting that catch onto Nuts. And Ryzen, Kelra just piling up on Eman. And it's still the same story on game number 1. If you cannot fight this way, find a different option where RSG is the ones trying to find a solution. And if you were a carry, you're a single target dude. And Ryzen and Kelra were both in the face of Eman, and RSG, they had no answer because they also had to focus on the Lord. They switched up the attention. Let's not focus on objectives. Let's focus on the heroes.
And every single time Omega were out to do something, even if they failed, specifically talking about game 2, even if they failed an engagement, a rotation, hell, even if RSG Slate PH just lights up one of their members, there's always a plan B. There's always, all right, we'll wait for the next rotation. I could have sworn with that man down, the 4 versus 5, RSG Slate, I kind of saw that they had some hesitation.
Yeah.
Because if you're up a man and then you could have taken Lord, you make a beeline for it, but Omega, they hunkered down. They understood that, all right, they're not going to do it. They're not. This is too chaotic for them to do.
I think that's one of the things, too, of just having I know, how you feel about the tank Lancelot, but, maybe that was a part of it because you know that you can juggle that Lord around for quite a bit of time and not have to get knocked down to half health. And at the same time, you're just kind of a nuisance because, the question was, if you do catch the Lancelot, then, can you even kill him? Because not only the way that his kit works, but when he's built like a tank, who do you focus on? Who do you grab? Because the other members that Smart Omega had, it's a hard decision. And that's why so many times Renzio was the punching bag.
And it was okay, right?
It was fine.
Worked out. Midnight, it won!
Yep, it did. It did win against RSG Slate Philippines. And I do love that you pointed out the fact that it's another layer of meat shield for Smart Omega. Even if it takes 1 second longer for the carry to take him down, because, carry does shred through a lot of tanks. 1 second of that matters because on that 1 second, Kerala was able to close the gap against Eman, and unfortunately for Eman, he didn't have the dash, and he was not able to completely get away from the clutches of Smart Omega, and that was game winning for Smart Omega.
And it makes sense now that you look at it, and the more MPL and MDL Philippines teams use this tank Lancelot, it's literally having a shield that's shaped like a sword. In the end, it's still going to hurt. You're still going to die. It's just takes a while longer.
Defense is...
The best defense is the best offense.
The best defense is the best offense.
Right? So I think there's something to this. All right? Say what you will about your gears getting grinded, but the Omega franchise know how to make it work.
Yeah, I'm glad they did too. Not only that, but the fact that they brought out the Kufra. And, yeah, Miko might have missed one or two, setups, but more, I'm sure a lot of people watching at home that are used to watching, Chaknu play that Kufra, they can applaud Miko's performance here, and I think it did a great job. And the way that especially early game, he had some amazing sets at the bottom lane too, where they were focusing there. And every single time that builds up and that compounds for especially Kelra, when he's playing this Harith, like Kelra didn't even have to play a traditional marksman in the gold lane because he had a hell of a game 1 and game 2 on that Harith pick.
As well, the bouncing ball. It's not an ult, but it should be the way it was used in this game. It keeps people down so that the Zaman Force hurts more. Let's go ahead and throw over to the stage. Mara is with Smart Omega with their winning interview.
Everybody, let's give it up to Smart Omega! Congratulations! Ito talagang hinata ko, si Storm. Ikaw, Storm, congratulations. First win with your new team. Sanay ka na 6-man ka ngayon. Nandito ka sa main 5. Nakuha mo ang unang panalo. And we could see kanina kung gaano kayo kasaya. You guys were standing up, nag-a-appear kayo. How is it like ngayon? Nakabawi kayo and you get your first win.
Sobrang saya po kasi yun nga, yung sinabi mo po na 6-man ako ng sobrang tagal. Kasi ako nagsasawa na ako sa scrim eh. Kaya ako naging pro kasi nag-enjoy talaga ako sa paglalaro. Kaya tuwang-tuwa ako na kahit papaano napapatunayan ko na yung sarili ko as main 5 dito ngayon sa Omega.
And how do you think na nalalabas yung lakas mo ngayon with Smart Omega?
Sobrang exciting kasi alam kong sobrang dami ko pang kayang ibuga para sa fans namin.
And yan, we can see kung gaano niya tinataas ang kanilang lakas. Job well done. That was really good. Ngayon, Ryzen. Ayan, ay. Okay, ikaw din. I-interview kita mamaya, Kelra. Alam mo, sabi nila, ikaw daw, under the radar, unsung hero. Pero dapat daw, nasa'yo ang limelight, yung spotlight. Kasi sobrang galing mo, game changer, lalo na sa crucial moments. Ito ba yung nagiging part ng goal mo? Kasi alam ko tahimik ka talaga eh. Pero nagiging part ba to ng goal mo ngayong season 11 na mapunta sa'yo yung focus at attention ng tao?
Hindi naman po. Nakakataon lang po siguro. Ang main goal, ang pinag-uusapan naman po namin yung goal talaga namin sa laro eh. Kung yung mga best way para manalo.
So it doesn't matter to you if the focus is on you or not, lalo na with this new change of lineup. Ah, very nice. Humble. Kelra, ayan, everyone's so excited to hear from you. Kailangan ko lang i-point out yung magandang ginawa mo nung game number 1. Ikaw yung nag-steal ng third Lord. Kahit wala kang retry, nandun si H2, but ikaw pa rin yung nakakuha with pure damage. Paano mo yun natatimingan? How are you so good at that?
Kasi po minsan may mga opportunity na gano'n na kahit wala kang retry, kaya mo maka-steal ng Lord. So nakita ko yung opportunity na yun, kaya ginawa.
Alam mo, napansin ko,
Kaya sobrang confident ko po na kaya ko agawin.
confident. That's something that we know about Kelra. Pero nakikita namin, season per season, nagbabago ka. Parang nagre-rebrand ka. Ano ang bagong Kelra ngayong season 11?
Abangan nyo na lang.
Abangan na lang natin ang Kelra. Once again, congratulations to Smart Omega! You may now take your walk. Go ahead.
Bow.
Every season, nakikita natin kung paano tinataas ni Kelra at ang kanyang koponan. Ngayon, we'll see a different image. And just like what Ryzen says, it doesn't matter to him kung kanino ang spotlight. Basta they do well as a team. And now Stone is shining brightly as the main 5 of Smart Omega. Hihimayin natin ang laban ngayon, kaya babalikan na natin ang ating casters. Pasok!
Great to hear from Smart Omega, as always. Just such nice, humble boys, characters, a lot of them. Now, I almost forgot how intense and how crazy Game 2 was. I almost forgot Ryzen's Hayabusa from Game 1.
Yeah.
That was a losing Hayabusa.
It was a bad Hayabusa game, honestly. Not because, again, of his performance, but because of the matchup, it was really hard to play in that game.
Yeah, it's not favorable, right? But I would say that he had a great game 2, and it all worked out for the team.
Yep. Midnight, tell us all about it. Put a highlight on that Tank Lancelot, please.
Yeah, Tank Lancelot for Smart Omega, but the story of this game is that they brought chaos onto the fundamentals of RSG Slate Philippines. Again, welcome back to the Understand. My name is Midnight, and we are going to be breaking down this clean game coming up from Smart Omega. It was ironic in a sense that the Venom utilized the Purify on the Hadith. It brought so many problems to RSG, and it forced out even the Franco pickup coming out from RSG. Even though the ideology behind his composition is, based on objectives and also the protection all around the carry, Smart Omega banked on their ability to snowball towards the mid game. It was the same idea that they had on game number 1. It's just that they had a better draft on game number 2 with momentum-based heroes such as the Lancelot, even though it's a tank build, the Lapu-Lapu, and they focused on shutting down the gold laner of RSG. We saw a lot of engagements, happen on that lane, wherein Keller was just able to demolish the lane over Eman. Even though Eman had a fantastic time farming up some resources on the map, and he was able to get a lot of gold, honestly. But the main problem of RSG was that the team fights were just happening all across the map. Smart Omega didn't let go of the pressure when they had the momentum on their side and when they were able to fight into RSG Slate Philippines. Now, look at the stats here. We saw that RSG, they did try their best to fight Smart Omega. They did participate in a lot of these fights, but the main problem that they have is that, the protection of Eman was a little too short. Because every single time RSG shows up with their heroes, Omega is always ready on bursting them down. Even Nuts was not safe against the death combo of Miko and Storm, especially with Keller on the back, with the Zaman Force, and the damage output that he brings onto the table, especially with the Calamity Reaper and also the Divine Glaive. Alongside with the Holy Crystal, it is a massive damage on their side, which is why, in reality, RSG had no capabilities of surviving the frontline damage of Smart Omega. Also, we have to talk about the mobility of the Lancelot, which we harped on earlier. Having a tank build, he was able to maneuver around these fights and look for potential engagement to open up the game for Kelra to come in. And again, he is the MVP of this game, being more active and being more of a nuisance and a threat against RSG. And it is what allowed Omega to have this insane pressure in the mid game, because Harith was activated. He was always participating in the fights. He was always showing up on the map. And again, the damage output coming out from the Calamity Reaper, the Feather of Heaven, more attack speed, more mobility, and of course the Divine Glaive and Holy Crystal. Add to that the layer of protection that he has with the concentrated energy. If there's no damage output that can burst him down, if he survives and he lands the Zaman Force, then expect the Harith to get full HP in just a matter of seconds, which is a big problem for RSG. Now, on the early game, it was kind of a stalemate between these two teams. However, when Omega pumped up the pressure on the gold lane, this is where the chaos started for Smart Omega, and it is what gave them the advantage that they had during the mid game. Again, momentum is really, really important for their side, and Keller had a lot of that. RSG Slate Philippines, however, they did find some chaotic fights of their own. They were able to capitalize on the fact that Renzo was always, alone on the map, but it was not enough to secure them, the momentum that they need to fight off Smart Omega in the mid game. They did win that base defense, but come this Lord fight, even though RSG Slate Philippines had a pickoff on the Lapu-Lapu, they weren't committed. They were hesitating a little bit to fight into Smart Omega, and that is what gave the opportunity for this to happen. Again, Ryzen and Kelda just having this mindset, getting into this headspace where the gold laner is the most important here of the map, and shutting them down will net ourselves a win on this game. And again, it checked the keys to victory here, which is why they got the victory on game number 2, gentlemen.
I wouldn't question that, to be honest. Like, game 1 and 2 seemed like just one long game, one long story for Smart Omega, and it was a story of how they figured out how to win in Season 11. Like, if they continue this route, the whole chaos, then I'm happy. I'm here for it.
It's chaos, and it's also like just Smart Omega, like what they're known for doing I feel like now, again, when you look back at week 1, I feel like that's always the time where these teams try to settle into the season. And honestly, week 1, you can't judge teams based off week 1 performances, right? Because obviously they're learning, especially the ones that came in with their new rosters, the way that they are situating themselves into the season. And that's kind of what we saw and how this unfolded for them. And I feel like it really was refined there from game 1 and 2.
Yep. And with that being said, I'd like to think that the meta is still to unfold and our teams will just get better. On behalf of Midnight Nice You, my name is Leo. Stay with us. You're watching MPL Philippines Season 11.
Yung naramdaman ko po pagkagawa ko.
Season 11.
Sobrang
Our official sponsor, Infinix. Infinix Note, ultra-fast gameplay. Our partners in esports, Maya, it's everything, and a bank. And Secret Lab, the official gaming chair of MPL Philippines. Experience the MPL Philippines Season 11 action live at Shooting Gallery Studios. Tickets are now available via tickettome.net. Get yours now. If you missed the matches and want to quickly recap what happened, visit our official website for post-match reports at ph-mpl.com/news. Don't forget to catch all of our official league content on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. To ensure the quality and fairness of our games, MPL Philippines is also monitored and supervised by the Games and Amusement Board.
yung naramdaman ko po pagkagawa ko po ng play nun. Sobrang tuwa po kasi sobrang laking luwag po nun, tapos makakabasag po kami ng tower. Ang masasabi ko po sa Black is good luck and kita-kits ulit sa next round. Ako pala si Yawi, ang tank ng Eco Philippines. At ngayon, i-breakdown ko yung ginawa kong play ng game na.
The 11th season of MPL Philippines is brought to you by the following sponsors. Smart, the official tournament telco partner of MPL Philippines Season 11. Our official sponsor, Infinix. Infinix Note, ultra-fast gameplay. Our partners in esports, Maya, it's everything, and a bank. And Secret Lab, the official gaming chair of MPL Philippines. Experience the MPL Philippines Season 11 action live at Shooting Gallery Studios. Tickets are now available via tickettome.net. Get yours now. If you missed the matches and want to quickly recap what happened, visit our official website for post-match reports at ph-mpl.com/news. Don't forget to catch all of our official league content on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. To ensure the quality and fairness of our games, MPL Philippines is also monitored and supervised by the Games and Amusement Board. You're still watching MPL Philippines Season 11. The new Nexplay EVOS squad is looking pretty solid after an amazing debut performance. And it looks like they're out to prove something in the big leagues. Meanwhile, this Bren squad wants to show that they are true contenders this season. Now here's a question. Will Nexplay EVOS put Bren in their defeated list? Or will Bren lean on their pro experience and shut down the upstarts? This is going to be a really good one. Casters, pasok.
With reputation comes responsibility. Nexplay EVOS has to prove they belong in the big leagues, and tonight, Bren Esports will put them to the test. Welcome to Mabuhay at your service. My name is Leo, joined here by Nice2 and Midnight, and we're bringing you tonight's closer. Boys, how are we feeling?
Feeling great after, the previous series. For myself personally, it's great to be back into the league here for Season 11. I feel like there's a lot of exciting things, and my biggest question here coming into this is actually the new NXPE. I know you guys got the preview last week, but I can't wait to see what unfolds here.
I mean, on the other hand, you have Bren Esports. They're on a hot streak right now, especially coming out from the off-season events. They're the SEA Games representative. And I like the way that Mar put it, Nexplay EVOS, they're on a mission right now. They want to put some scopes or the, how do you call it, the gun pointed at teams. And they want to, stack up the defeated team list. So I think it's going to be an amazing match because these two teams, they have a different mission. Bren Esports, they're here to prove something. Nexplay EVOS, they're here to make a mark.
And the fact is, it's not the first time these two teams are meeting, right? It's in that same tournament that allowed Bren Esports to qualify to become the national team, wherein they actually stomped over what would become this lineup, what would become Nexplay EVOS in Season 11. More on this in just a bit. Well, first off, for you guys watching, we would like to invite y'all to enjoy the power of Smart when you switch to Smart without changing your number via Mobile Number Portability, or MNP. Visit smart.ph/switch to Smart to know more. Now, you see that name up in front of the jersey, right, for Nexplay EVOS this season, Minana. They have a hit list. That's who they were prior to entering the MPL. And now standing in their way is, of course, the once M2 World Championship squad, Bren Esports.
I feel like that's a heavy thing on the shoulders, right, of this squad. Rather, I mean, yes, they made waves through the amateur scene, Minana, and now they're here for NXPE. And there's a lot that I feel like they have to prove. But, I mean, any time, even previous season, we saw this, right, where a team comes in to the league, and a lot of people are waiting to see, do they have what it takes to match up, to stack up against these other teams, to get against these veteran names even. And a lot of the times, when it does happen, we as casters, fans alike, we're all surprised, right? And it's great to see because it allows the new blood, these new players to make a statement for themselves. And you see it unfold throughout the season. And again, even though it's only week 2, this is really where things start to fall in place for a lot of these teams here.
You know what's beautiful here is that Bren Esports, they also have a lot of rookie players on their side. And speaking about that rookie player, we saw a lot of clips earlier. Ogwin, on his first season, Season 10, he's had a fantastic performance. Even though some might say that he was overshadowed by the likes of Kyle TZ, Few, he has shown to perform alongside the veterans. He has been an amazing roamer for Bren Esports and also a detrimental factor as to how great this roster is. Coming out with the stats, we saw the game against, the series against Omega, 8 assists. He's very consistent with a lot of this participation with Bren Esports because he's the main guy. He is the guy that starts everything for Bren. He's the main supporter of Few and Kyle TZ. That's why these amazing plays are allowed on the M2 winning roster.
Yep, and now Season 11, it's Ogwin's sophomore season. So don't even think of beating Bren. Nexplay EVOS has to go through Ogwin. Now let's hear from our courtside reporter, Sona, to set up more of this matchup.
Maraming salamat, casters. Literal na ginulat ng mundo ang Nexplay EVOS laban sa kanilang magiging serye ngayon kontra Bren Esports in the final series of the day. This is the week number 2 na masasaksihan naman natin ngayon at ngayon din. And as I have mentioned a while ago, kung tutuusin ay nagulat nga ang napakaraming NXPE fans dahil halos karamihan sa mga naging parte ng roster ng NXPE noong Season 10 ay nawala at ang natira lang naman ay si Yeli Hayes. So with this, a lot of people were concerned. Ano nga ba ang direksyon na tatahakin ng NXPE sa susunod na season? Will they actually go for a rebuild and rely on a lot of new players, or will this be the opportunity for them to build another all-star and star-studded lineup na nakita natin mula sa kanila from before? Dahil dito, nagtataka at naninibago na lang din ang karamihan sa ating mga fans at naghihintay na lamang ng balita. And then, 5 shooting stars came into play na hindi na kinailangan pa ng kahit ano pang introduction because of their achievements and current reputation na nakuha nila sa kanilang amateur scene run with 11 consecutive wins and 19 straight championships na na-verify, and it was fact-based from what we've seen before from their previous interviews. Naging malaking bagay at naging malaking focus and mental fortitude para sa team na ito na makuha ang kanilang kampyonato this time around para maging parte ng big leagues. The question is, kung magiging parte nga ba sila ng panibagong season ng MPL, because from before, a lot of MPL fans were wondering, dapat sana Season 10 pa lang kasama na ang 5 manlalaro na ito para makapasok dito mismo at makipagsabayan sa mga talagang todo at palo kung mag-ML kung tutuusin. But this time, they waited for the right opportunity. Yes, they had the ability to get a lot of wins, to get a lot of championships, pero it's all in the mind. The reason is gonna be between those 3 months na naging paghahanda at preparasyon nila. Now, the question is, can the newest stars of the league shine brighter than those who are already shining? Malalaman natin yan as Bren Esports faces Nexplay EVOS. Casters, the floor is yours.
Sona, the floor is ours. Welcome back to the desk, and as our handsome young friend put it, we're putting Nexplay EVOS under the microscope. The fact that Bren Esports has the better part of 2 years to rebuild this lineup, to get to where they are now, to having come from the eponymous underdogs of Season 10 to now becoming our representatives in the upcoming SEA Games. It's Nexplay EVOS' turn, and they have to start here. Now, after last week's victory over TNC, how about they try to take down Bren Esports?
I mean, it's a much shorter version as to what Bren did. Bren rebuilt for 2 years. Now, this roster took a break for 3 months. No tournament at all. They were just preparing for the upcoming MPL, and they have been on the hype list. If there's a hit list, there's a hype list for a lot of the NXPE players, and now they're up to it's up to themselves to hype them up.
I'd like to admit, put me on top of that hype list, because after last week's impressive debut, I'd like to think this is their next stop, all right? So with that being said, let's welcome him on stage, Nexplay EVOS and Bren Esports. It's rare that a rookie team confidence and renown. Making their way on stage, roar loud for Nexplay EVOS! This World Championship franchise has been working tirelessly over the past year to reinvent itself, to much success. Buzz loud for Bren Esports! And their coaches, Coach Josh and Coach Bren. We renew a budding rivalry tonight in a best of three. Coming up from Nexplay EVOS, it's their main five. They're fielding Domeng, Boyet, Ding, Goyong, and Brusco.
Now, this team, again, the talk of the town, one of the hypest teams around. The king of the amateur scene with 11 championship title. There definitely is a credibility in this roster, and there's definitely the performance to back it off. And the beauty of these players is that they're really, really flexible. They have a huge arsenal of heroes at their disposal, and it's going to be really hard for Bren Esports to dissect that.
That's one of the things I'm wondering, because NXPE EVOS likes to switch things around. I mean, that's kind of what we've seen from them for the past couple seasons. So I'm actually wondering if they're set on this in terms of, like, you know, roles and positions here, and how that'll change throughout the season, or if they're just happy with it. But across the board, here's Bren Esports.
I'm going to say it. This Bren Esports roster is looking like fire alongside that jacket and that jersey. And I really love that Flap TZ is back. This is definitely, you know, something that we expected for a long time. And right now, Bren Esports, they're on a pedestal at the moment, especially, again, with Ogwen at the helm on the row position, with, you know, veteran experience coming out from Few and Flap TZ having those M2 winning championship players on this roster alongside superstars, the likes of Kyle TZ. There's a lot of bang to expect from this roster.
You know what? As happy as I am for Flap TZ, again, sharing the main five role with Few. Again, that's 2 out of the 5 M2 lineup. I kind of miss Pandora. I've been vocal about how much I am a fan of this handsome XP laner. But again, we miss Flap, and now he's back in Season 11. He's going to be going up against Ding. And I want to see more of Ding. I know that this matchup is very much Brusco versus Ogwen, but Ding versus Flap is also a great matchup to watch out for as they go 1v1 in the XP lane. Let's talk about our keys to victory in this matchup.
Meron pa pag-aaparehas itong dalawang playstyle ng dalawang teams na to, and we can see that through the keys to victory brought to us by Infinix. Una muna, para sa Nexplay EVOS, kailangang i-outclass si Kyle TZ in securing objectives. Alam natin na itong si Kyle TZ, isa sa mga tinitingnan talaga ng mga teams, especially last season. Kaya ba ni Boyet na batak mula doon sa non-professional scene natin ngayon na nasa MPL na sila? Kaya ba niya makipagtagi sa Kyle TZ? I think so, pero more on imperative siya. Kailangan siyang i-muster ng Nexplay EVOS. Kailangan siyang i-unleash sa game na to para magkaroon ng magandang bakbakan between two teams. Para naman sa Bren Esports, remind going DR why Few is a legend. Ibig sabihin, this time, parang kailangan mamain ni Few ang kanyang mga katapat ngayon. Kailangan mas mautak at mas malupit. At hindi lang yan, pati yung heroes siguro kailangan din i-adjust dito ng Bren Esports. Make sure that Few will have a better time compared to the opposing mid laner which is going DR. Para naman sa pares sa teams, watch out for roamers initiation. Saktong-sakto pinag-usapan agad ng mga casters natin ngayon na ang focus ng dalawang teams na to, ang kanilang centerpiece is yung initiations nila with their hard traditional tanks, setup tanks. Ang nagiging problema dito sino yung mas magkakaroon ng magandang vision. Magandang na i-consider natin kung sino yung mas magandang initiation, di ba? But it all starts with vision. Sino ang mas magaling sumepat ng kanyang mga katapat? Sino mas magaling pumwesto dito at mang-scout? Yan ang aabangan natin between Bren and Nexplay EVOS.
Thanks so much, Wolf, breaking down the keys to victory for this upcoming matchup. Something that has dawned on me is each of those keys to victory talk about a specific role. And we were hyping up Ding versus Pandora or Ding versus Flapteezy, right? So, does that mean all of the lanes matter here? 1v1 on that level?
I think for every player, their respective roles matter, especially against each other. And I like the way that Keys to Victory addressed Few's experience against Goyong, and that is going to become a factor here in this coming matchup. Also, the fact that the junglers are paired up against each other, because there's a difference between the playstyle. You know, even though Boyet has been known as an aggressive jungler, he primarily focuses the objectives around with his team. Meanwhile, you have Kyle TZ that just wants to explode. Like, you know, we see a lot of the remnants from the old Kyle TZ back when he was in Bren Esports, and I think that is still the identity of Bren. Now that they're more aggressive with Ogwen at the helm, I think that's where the difference comes in. And NXPE, they have to be able to capitalize on these objective takes that they want to do.
What's Coach Eson and Coach Josh going to trade for as they start the draft in the blue? They're on the play. They ban out the Fanny. Coach Vren for Bren Esports. They're on the swing back. They ban out the 1-1. What's going to happen here?
Well, I mean, specifically what's going to happen, there is obviously the priority heroes and everything, but going back to, I just want to real quick say, you know, with Bren from, yes, some of these guys are in their sophomore year, right? But specifically even that jungle matchup where a lot of the games start here, Kyle TZ, like last season, he had to prove something of himself, and he did exactly that throughout Season 10. And I feel like that's what we're seeing from NXPE, right? Specifically, like you mentioned with Boyet. And if he is going to be focusing on those objectives, or if he decides to go toe-to-toe with Kyle TZ as an assassin pick, there's a lot here on the table that NXPE can actually take because they're the first pick priority.
Yeah, but I like Bren's positioning right now. They're on the second pick, and most people don't notice, but there is a familiarity between the coaches. Coach Josh and Coach Brendan used to work together before, during their amateur eras, their amateur tenure. They used to work hand in hand in shaping up this team. So that, you know, for Bren Esports, there is that certain mentality where Coach Brendan knows what Coach Josh is thinking, and that puts him at a better position because their second pick, they know how to react to whatever NXP throws at them at first pick. Most likely we'll see still Fredrin, or either they go for the Valentina, but Bren Esports answers up with a Farsa combo themselves. Okay, Glue is taken out, so Fredrin Valentina is definitely on the table. But whatever happens, Bren Esports will get a bit. Oh, never mind. Actually, Paramis was let go of both teams. So, you know, NXPE pick it up. Valentina, I think, is a requirement at this point. You don't want to be giving up both on the side of NXPE. So, Valentina, either Valentina Lapu-Lapu or Valentina Claude, I dare say.
This is becoming a trend, at least for week 2, right? I'm noticing that instead of picking up the problems and then banning out the solutions, the teams in the MPL are just picking up the solutions regardless. Like, there, if you will, and there's half of the prediction, Midnight. There's the Valentina, but then they say, you know what, maybe we can pick up the Fredrin.
That's fine, right? I mean, how many times have we seen the Faramis-Valentina matchup? It's kind of aged
so many times
up to this point, right? Season 11. And you can just expect that interaction, the relationship between those two heroes alone to have an impact on this game. Now, how do you get the upper hand. I feel like that is what not only these teams, but the coaches have to decide, right? How do we solidify ourselves that minor advantage, if it be it that, to secure, especially those objectives later on, the Lords that we saw even from the previous series where it came down to those very extended Lord Dance fights, right? And now that you have these two heroes alone that even bring that extension further, you have to be able to secure those objectives. And I love how this started, right? There's the Martiz locked in, but then you get a flashy Benedetta pick as well.
Yeah, I love this answer from NXPE. Both heroes deal with the Fredrin well, and also Benedetta. Usually, if you have a Valentina and Promise matchup, the ideology behind these two teams is that you need to pick up a hero, either from XP or Rome, that can deal with the Cult Altar, because both of you will have that ultimate at one point in time. Now, Benedetta is a great asset when it comes to, just completely removing that equation on the other side, because you do have that Petrify like the Final Blow equation that you can provide. And again, it's a hero that deals with Fredrin and also sets up a faster pace for NXP during the early game.
And they lock in their gold laner, which Nexplay EVOS hasn't quite yet. Half of me was thinking this third slot for Bren Esports could have been the Kufra. That they could have done it there, and they could have disincentivized those Shadow Stampedes, the Sword Intent from the Benedetta Hell, even stopped the Martyrs from dashing on around. But instead, it looks like they'll hold on to Ogwen's hero. Not quite yet, not here, not in the first phase.
There's a lot of them, potential openings for Bren Esports. I mean, the Atlas and the Grok are still there for Bren. If NXP decides to go for the Claude route, even the Beatrix, it will fall to the trap of Bren Esports if they pick Ogwen's hero last.
Well, I think you can hold on to that, right? Because so far from what we've seen from Ogun has been amazing, specifically. And, they look at this. There's a lot of support here for NXPE in the crowd as well.
Oh, definitely.
Very popular faces here in the Philippines. But that's the thing, right? NXPE, there's a lot here for them to prove. They've started off with this first phase. Honestly, it's great for them. But what I'm wondering is, with this Melissa pick, will it work? Will it be that minor advantage that I was talking about earlier to help you at least save your gold laner? I mean, the way that Melissa's kit works is already kind of that, and then you pair it up with Valentina, who's going to extend your life a little bit longer if you get crashed down on.
Yeah.
But is this Melissa going to shine here the way Bren needs it to?
I think that definitely is a concern, considering that we haven't seen yet if the Faramis will go to the roam or support, because usually this is what they do against a Faramis, right? You either pick up a Claude or you pick up a Melissa. These two heroes are really good in dealing with the teamfight capability of the opposition. But I do get the point where the Melissa is kind of in a spot where, are you enough? Because the threat are still there. If NXP decides to go for either a Kagura of Goyong or the Farsa, which both are good against the Melissa and the Valentina. So it's still kind of a Hail Mary answer from Bren Esports, because NXP could react to that gold laner pick.
I'm not so sure if there's room for a burst hero, like you mentioned, because more of the successful Faramai from recent memory.
Plural form of
Faramis
is Faramai.
Yeah.
He's a cactus.
They've been in mid. I'm not sure if there's room for a roam Faramai in this matchup. So I think we're looking at we're looking at Goyong as hero. So they're gonna have to find another way to burst down Supermarket.
Yeah, either that or you go for the classic counters against these group up type of compositions. Like, again, as I mentioned earlier, the Atlas, even the Lolita is open for both sides. So I think Bren Esports, they do definitely have the advantage, because they're gonna see if NXPE gets one of the Atlas gets removed. So Bren Esports, either you pick up the room right now and potentially reveal the role of the Fredrin, because the thing about Fredrin is, currently, we don't know if it's going to go XP or jungler.
Yeah, that's a Flaptease hero, Frederick.
Yeah, but definitely it's going to be revealed in this phase. It's just a matter of questioning whether or not we pick up the XP laner now or we pick up the roam. Grok still sound, honestly.
Not only Grok, I mean, Kufra too, like we were talking about earlier.
Oh, yeah.
You still have that option, but like you said, do you lock in that roam option here for Bren, or do you want to go with the other pick? Because for NXPE, right, I mean, across the board, holding on to those two picks here, I'm sure they're going to round it out, right? The objective gaming is already going to be crucial for NXPE, like we mentioned, even in the K2V, the keys to victory. And there it is on the other side. Bren's going to go ahead and just show the Lapu Lapu. And immediately, NXP answers, showing that carry here. They do want to shred down, even if possibly that Kufra does pop up. They have a shredder here now for them.
What's Lolita looking like?
I mean, for NXP, it sounds awesome,
Right?
honestly. Like the setups, even though there's a Lapu Lapu, you don't really mind playing into heroes that can deal with you as long as you shut down the gold laner of Bren Esports.
your
You're
job.
fine. And I think Lolita and Carry sounds like a hell of a hard gold lane matchup for Super Marco to deal with because the shields will be up. And, you know, it is a kind of a soft counter against what Melissa does in team fights, but it definitely is something that can be switched up. I mean, the Grok and Cho is still open for NXP. Oh! Oh! Different flavor, I guess.
It's not the safest, but it might work.
Yeah, it's risky. It's you're playing on that burst, right? You not only that, but so this also means double petrify that Bren has to work around because you know, you have this Benedetta here who's most likely going to have that, and then you have now the Kadita, right? So something definitely that Bren wants to work around here. And whatever this last pick is going to be, still you have to. I don't know if Melissa's ultimate alone is enough to keep him alive here against this burst.
Maybe get some Cho on the hands of Ogwin. Either that, because Ruby's banned out. Nothing is going to stop Cho from roaming around the map. Even though there's a lot of burst damage coming out from NXPE, you need that catch. You need that frontline vision. Either that or you go for the Grok route. Oh!
Neither.
This looks good. I'm actually with it. There's a lot that Nexplay EVOS has to play around with, and as a first impression, right, you want to go really fast, but Bren Esports just won't allow it.
I thought Bren didn't like Diggy.
Well, Ducky's not there.
Okay.
Ducky took a break, you know, and Coach Brennan was like, let's maximize this opportunity.
Let's
pick
embrace
up Diggy."
it.
And, you know, the beauty of this Diggy pick, not a lot of people, you know, actually think about this, but it's such a huge counter against a carry. The marks, it's like a 1-1, you know.
Yeah.
And remember, the reverse time, it's such a huge nuisance, especially with carry, having to use that to output more damage. If you're caught in an area wherein you don't have the dash, and you're forced to dash away, mind you, it's hard to play this type of carry gameplay wherein you want to be in the front lines.
And I think the way this might go once we enter the Land of Dawn is Bren Esports did not want to play a usual roamer, at least the roamers that Nexplay EVOS were expecting, right? The Kufra was open, the Cho was open, even the Lolita was open. There's so many ways that this could have gone, but instead it went the Diggy route, which is, again, characteristic. Coach Bren making the most of Ducky's absence, not on stage.
He's in the crowd. He's probably feeling away.
He is, and
He's there.
He's shaking his head. Like,
Yeah, he was there.
It's just
I'm trying to look for a shaking head.
Yeah, someone who is distraught. Why?
What?
Well,
did you seriously pick Diggy? No, just kidding.
I mean, either way, what we've seen from Diggy before in the, you know, any of the teams that do play that hero is, one, it provides you a lot of vision. You have a lot of poke. Also depends on what emblem is taken. You also see that happen with a lot of impure rage Diggies, right? Where then they're just pretty much whittling down teams to the point where you're entering those objective fights with, like, what, maybe half health already because of those bombs and those, well, whatever skin is being played here, right? Bomb stars, whichever.
Bunnies.
But still, that's something that has to be worked around. And not only that, but you have so much of this CC. You have probably the double petrify. We'll get to see that in a second here. But now you have to work across the counter to that, which is that times journey, right? So this is probably something that is going to work really well in the hands of Bren, but it was definitely a curveball from what we were expecting.
Something tells me the fact that they picked the Diggy was not a decision that they had going into the matchup. I believe the way you put it, nice, so it just resonates with me, that double petrify and the fact that there is even the Ocean Oddity that makes it all the more difficult for Bren Esports to find angles. That might have been the straw that broke the camel's back. Like, all right, that's it. Just Diggy. Just do it. That might be it. Tells me.
It's kind of a double-edged sword, however, because if you came into this match not prepared to play a Diggy, yes, it could work because, the blade is much sharper because you have a lot of counters present on your arsenal. Like, you have 5 Purifies basically against this Petrify-centric lineup of NXPE. And the way I see it is that it's such a huge late game threat against Kadita because you do get a lot of vision with the stars or bombs or bunnies. And you've mentioned, having to fight with low HP on the side of NXPE, it's going to be hard. But if you don't have the history of playing Diggy with this kind of lineup for Bren Esports, because we've mentioned earlier that it's already a hard game for Melissa to worry about. Now you also have to worry about playing a Diggy during the early game. And remember, NXPE's lineup, it's very fast-paced. Having this Diggy on this lineup, if they don't stop NXPE from putting a lot of pressure on their side, then the Diggy, even though it's such a good kit, it wouldn't really matter in the mid-game.
We have years on record of Ducky and, by extension, Bren Esports hating Diggy. All right, it has been recorded. It's
been very vocal.
It is etched in the lore of our league. And as far as I remember, that's season 5. We're at season 11. All right, so that,
6 seasons.
6 seasons, roughly 3 years that this hero has been, I'd say, I don't know, in the doghouse? Like, there are picks. There are picks in this league. Like, no, never again, put it away. And Diggy, for Bren Esports at least, is that kind of hero. So I understand the hesitation. I understand how skittish you might be about the execution.
Yeah, I think they've only played Diggy since Season 6 3 times.
Wow. Once per
times.
year. The annual Diggy. The annual Diggy for Bren. It's Diggy Day.
It's a celebration. Check your calendars, Look at the history. If this is the day that Bren Esports last played Diggy.
That's it for 23. That's it for 23.
That's it. Entire year.
Then they play it next game.
Oh, no.
They're going beyond the bounds here. But, I mean, I know
celebration.
I know we're focusing a lot on Diggy here, but that's the thing because it's either going to make this game for Bren or it's going to break him because we've seen this actually plenty of times too. Just as much as we've seen a successful Diggy pick for any teams out there that choose to go there, we've seen it equal, if not more, falter for a lot of the teams.
Oh, yeah.
And that's because a lot of times, now the job here, you're using that Kadita to probably bait out that time's journey so they don't have it. Because we were talking about it when that Melissa pick was locked in. It's like, okay, how do we keep this Melissa alive with, not just the ultimate, but how do we keep it alive? You have the time's journey now. But if Kadita does the job correctly, you focus on baiting that time's journey out so it's not there for those team fights. And so now you have this layering going on of ultimates and how that will play a part in the overall match of the game.
The way that we're just trying to break this down and being so critical about that last pick, I'd like to think it's justified. I'd like to think it's worth it because that last pick is such a powerful spot, right?
Yeah.
And the fact that you invested in a hero that your team historically hasn't really, I was going to try to be nice about it, but your team hates it. Why the sudden change of direction here? I like how you put it, Naisu. They went there.
This is like, if you were with us last series, that Marta's pick was picked up, you're like, that's kind of like looking in the fridge or the cupboard, wherever you keep your peanut butter, grabbing the peanut butter. This is completely different. This is going a different route. You're not going with peanut butter. What are you going with, Leo?
I think you're going with soy sauce.
Yeah.
Like you put it on the rice. There's no ulam or bayan.
Hey, soy sauce and rice is pretty good. I was going to say it's like putting ketchup in your bowl of cereal. That's what this is. They got the bowl.
Are you serious?
They got the bowl. They got the milk. They put some bananas, some berries in there. How about some ketchup? Pow!
I'm still not going to eat breakfast with you.
Yeah, I don't want to eat breakfast with you either.
No.
Anybody want some ketchup?
No.
That's why this is such a point of contention. The fact that the Diggy was the last pick for Bren Esports is a 50-50 at best, given that it does answer a few of the issues that Nexplay EVOS presents in their draft, but also, historically, Bren Esports just doesn't play Diggy. Now, where does this put Nexplay EVOS? We've been talking about Bren for the past, I lost track of time, but how much does this last pick, Diggy, matter for Nexplay EVOS? Are they happy? Would you be happy here, Midnight?
I mean, for Nexplay EVOS,
Are you
again,
happy?
for Bren, no, because again, history tells us a different story. But for NXP, again, this is a much faster lineup compared to what Bren has. And Nice was mentioned earlier that it's going to become problematic if NXP suddenly is able to force the times journey, because there's a lot of ways for them to capitalize on the fact that one attempt from the Kadita will force that times journey out.
Yeah.
What happens if Ding shows up with a different petrify angle against Bren Esports, and suddenly you find yourselves without a catch, without a decent roamer, without a natural tank, and without times journey?
That's actually a question. Like, who goes where? I'm not sure if we confirmed who is going into which role. It's a toss-up between Goyong and Brusco. Who's playing the Kadira? Who's playing the Faramis?
I think you go Faramis pos 4 support, because Kadita, well, trends to be a roamer right now because you can buy the the roam boots, and the beauty about Faramis is that he deals so much damage with natural item build-up. And the beauty of their lineup is that they don't have to naturally tank the heroes of Bren Esports. They don't care about standing on the front lines because they have the cash, they have the burst. And look at the opposition. Like, who stands on the front line? Fredrin will be happy to burst you, because if you're out, then suddenly Melissa cannot find that position wherein he can play around Bren Esports because there's nobody protecting him.
So it's likely Goyong on the Faramis then.
Yeah.
Not only that, but I think Faramis can probably just have a better time at clearing that lane and then being where he needs to be, right? With that, having that ultimate available to him, the Cult Altar and everything else. But I like that you pointed out that Midnight, that NXPE, the biggest advantage that they have is their entrance for angles is going to be prevalent through this entire game, right? And that's not only because of the Petrifies, but also because of the fact that you have Benedetta there.
Benedetta,
we've seen this,
Martis,
yeah, we've seen this so many times. Just displacement, basically, with these types of heroes. So, when you are playing around a Diggy specifically, and you want to kind of clump up a little bit around that times journey, it's going to be difficult to deal with.
Well, we no longer have to speculate nor talk about how these teams might feel about this specific Diggy pick as we go into game number 1. Oh, phew!
Well, off to a great start already, as we're at the split screen there, and that's already a kill going to the hands of Ding on that Benedetta.
Excuse me. Whoa, that was... That's level 1. There's not much that you could have done to save you.
Yeah, I mean, who would think that Benedetta would go mid first? Just to try and catch people off guard. And it forced out the flicker, but he still died. That's a very big commitment for Bren Esports, because right now, mid lane is really, really weak. This is where NXPE can capitalize on the fact that few, for the next 2 minutes, cannot be aggressive.
Not only that, but I mean, you garner yourself that minor advantage, for NXPE, and you play around with it, right? And like we mentioned, there's the 2 Petrifies. They used them there to grab that kill, it looks like. So, at this point, NXPE is in a good position here already for this game 1.
Oh.
Already, though, Few going to be in trouble again as he gets taken out by Goyong this time, mid lane.
Such a beautiful combo, getting those links towards the Valentina and then having that Karita follow up with the damage output. This is a Valentina, the first Valentina I've seen shot off this hard in the early game.
And here we were talking about how life might be hard for Super Marco and who's going to play in which role. Apparently, it was as simple as just burst down Few.
Not only that, I think NXPE was kind of offended by that key to victory, with Few. Remind him why he's a legend. Well, right now, they're reminding Few here. He's 0-2 already 2 minutes into the game.
Say what you will about the accolades and the long tenure, the career, the legend that is Few, but hey, in game, you're still just a hero, much like all of us. And look at this immaculate pull set in by Boyet.
Right now, NXPE in a good position to secure themselves the first turtle of the game. 2 members of Bren are down on the bottom side. So this is just going to go freely in the hands of NXPE.
Commitment from Ding, just to zone away the XP laner and the jungler of Bren Esports. Kind of like what FlopDZ used to do with his Benedetta, but now he can't even do anything because, it's hard to catch a Benedetta, especially with a lot of the mobilities on the side of NXPE. And there's also the threat that you don't see both the the Paramis and the Kadita. So Bren Esports kind of have to be safe on the early game, and that netted an objective for NXPE.
And it looks like Nexplay EVOS are coming to play. They're answering over to Bren Esports' pressure. In the past 2 minutes, Super Marco did nothing but chip away at that gold lane turret shield. And there's a pull on Ogwin.
Yeah, Ogwin, he's going to be the focus here a lot because still they're trying to focus him down, possibly even get that ultimate out here. They want to waste that times journey, but the poke potential from Super Marco obviously it's apparent here, even this early on. So there's going to be a lot of, I feel like, just babysitting right now for Super Marco to let him transition well into mid to late game.
Love the commitment from Doming. I don't want to fight you. I just want to be able to get the gold cannon just so that I can farm. He knows his job. He knows that he needs to get his items. But look at this, Brusco.
Just like that. That's what we're talking about. The burst is there. Brusco, possibly not even sure if he had to use the Petrify, but Time Journey was committed. They get the kill. Now they have the numbers advantage here on the bottom side. Still looking for more. Ogwin respawning there as well in the bush. Should be fine, and they back them off here. NXPE happy with a kill.
It's a different answer that we're seeing here from NXPE. If there's a Times Journey, then we just take out the Diggy. And this is a problem for Ogwin, because right now, if you're the Diggy, what route do you choose to go? Do I go for damage or do I go for tank? Because I think Athena Shield is a requirement in this game.
Yep, if you're looking at a mid lane of Doming and Brusco, rather Goyong and Brusco, Faramis and Kadira, again, in the first 2 minutes, few suffered so much. Turtle already started up by Nexplay EVOS.
All right, well, Bren wants to contest this one. They're going to force going back, but Boyet able to secure the turtle here. And everyone's just going to back off like that. Right now, NXPE in a great position so far into the game.
Really, really hard for Bren Esports to fight. Again, they don't have natural roam tank. They do have the Fredrin. However, NXPE, they're more than happy to commit to kill down the, to take down the jungler of Bren Esports, because he is such an important factor in participating around these objective spots, especially around the turtle and Lord later on, because he does have the retribution. So it's kind of hard and awkward for Bren Esports in choosing how they want to fight and what fights to take, because NXPE, when it comes to just putting them out the pressure against Bren Esports, they have the power to dictate that, because they're a much faster lineup, and remember, they still have the carry. So even if even if the early game goes south for NXPE, they have that fallback plan.
Look at how Goyong was putting himself up there earlier, about a second ago. He was down there bottom looking for a kill, and I guess even a simple Shadow Stampede, might be enough to force out the Time Journey.
Oh, well, that could have been bad here. Brusco not able to get the kill he wanted, but the burst is already there, right? And you can see it. But here, top side, still focusing. Flapteezy going to have to secure himself. This turret still up, but can't do it as he falls top side in a 2v1.
Ding should have died.
Yeah.
Ding should have died, but he didn't.
That was such a beautiful juggle between these two players, and also very good timing on the eye for an eye by Ding. And again, they get everything, while Bren Esports, they try to take to make a move on the bottom lane. Didn't work out, however, because they don't have the kit. Melissa is not a threat onto the tower right now, and even if you rotate the Fredrin towards the bottom lane, like, what do? How do you face against the carry with the protection of both the Faramis and the Kadira?
Oh, well, I mean, you can see just how much focus is going here on this gold lane by both teams. I mean, now it's 4 members of NXPE here. Meanwhile, the turtle's going to be worked on, it looks like, by Bren, as it's a 3 versus 1 top side. Boyet going to get focused out here. Turtle secured by Kyle TZ, but the turret goes in the hands of NXP at the bottom side.
That was a conscious trade for Nexplay EVOS. They understood that best case scenario, we extend the turtle, we don't lose mid lane, and we push down bottom. Where do you go now, Super Marco?
Yep.
That's what I'm seeing. That's what the thought process is so far.
Instead of the objectives, they went for the gold lane, because they know they need to shut down this Melissa, and that was the willing choice of NXT. That was the will, basically, of the Tigers. And Bren Esports, like Super Marco, is having a hard time on this gold lane. And NXPE, they're making Boyet the sacrificial lamb. He is the dead lane hero right now. It's a Martis, How do you deal with a hero that can, bypass the CCs of Bren Esports and has enough mobility to get away?
And understand this concept. The dead lane is the jungle. All he needs are little camps, and then just walk away. Just as long as I don't die, I'm good.
Flap.
Well, Flap going to take the brunt of the burst here, but ultimately going to survive this one. Kyle TZ gets the knockups, and the taunts of Praiser's Wrath wasn't going to connect, though. Bottom side, though. Ding with Electro final blow, but Bren finally grabbing that tier 1 bottom side, looking for anything that they can to get that small step forward.
That's what I was going to say, man. Small steps, just get there, make sure Super Marco doesn't die too much, and find a place for him to farm. Looks like next spot for him going to be mid.
Yep.
Focus here still. Quite a few members, both sides here. Ding gonna look for an angle, gets backed off as he was spotted out by FlapTZ. And still, both teams holding on to those tier 1s in mid lane. It's really gonna come down to who gets that down first, as that Lord is up here shortly.
Ooh, few footsies with Brusco.
Yeah, he's gonna go ahead and just get that health back and back off for now. Like I said, a lot of poke and pull, push and pull between both teams. Lord gonna be up in about 10 seconds. You can see both XP laners as well, just trying to manage the waves here before the next big objective comes up.
I mean, this is really ideal for Bren Esports, considering that they're now putting the pressure up against NXPE while Super Marco is farming. They have to choose their lanes, however, because Doming DR has been farming on the Scary for a good 8 minutes. It's such a huge threat, even though we're just transitioning towards the mid game.
Okay, they get the flicker out from Ogwin. That was the conceal play coming out as well. Kyle TZ going to the backside, looking for anything he can find. Rough Waves comes out too. A lot here expended by both teams.
Ding.
Ding, though, going to take the brunt of the damage, has to back off as well. Keep an eye on FlapTZ. He enters the backside, looking for Goyong. He finds him. Able to grab the kill. Goyong down. And this could be a Lord in the hands of Bren.
Interesting. Something tells me Goyong did that on purpose. He respawned just about 2 or 3 seconds after. He has an ult. He has a flicker.
He's still looking for it. He's going to be making his way there. Just a couple seconds away. Lord going to reset here for a little bit. Again, Bren has to be careful how they approach this one. Purple buff going to be secured here for NXPE as they make their way for this dance. The fight, the Electro final blow comes out with the Petrify. Ding takes quite a bit of damage. The Lord still less than half health. Colt Altar already committed here. Bren with a minor upper hand. Who's going to be able to secure this Lord? Flap goes in. Super Marco with grab the kill. Still on the focus. Quite low here. There's the Colt Altar response from Pew. It's going to come down to the Red 3 battle, and it's Boya that grabs it. But he has to flicker out too, still on the run, but Lord secured for NXPE.
Despite the fumble in the early part of that engagement, Nexplay EVOS lost bodies, but Boya just tunnel visioned on the Lord, and they took it anyways.
I mean, it was quite messy. NXPE, they wanted to fight. They committed the Cult Altar, but Bren Esports, they had the right idea. They disengaged. They knew for a fact that it's not time to fight, but FlapTZ, though, when the Lord knocked out 2 heroes, it almost completely, demolished the second HP of the Cult Altar, and he went in for the carry attempt kill. But it wasn't enough damage with Bren Esports. They were able to hold their guard, but again, as you've said, Boyet was able to land that beautiful retribution timing to secure the Lord for NXPE.
And this all the more just amplifies the storyline of each role, each lane. It's going to matter, and there's a pull!
Okay, flicker in from Oakwin, looking to grab a kill here. Nice setup! Ding, can he help out in time? Everybody quite low. That's 3 down for NXPE. Bren collapsing hard. Able to come out on top here of that fight.
This is definitely Few showing NXPE why he is a legend. Standing on the front lines, not even caring about his life. I'm not your target. Super Marco is. Try to commit onto my Valentina.
Oh,
and look at this. Super Marco's going wild.
He didn't even press Inspire.
Yeah, he didn't even use it.
He was just standing there, auto-attacking.
That much of attack speed.
I mean, he didn't need inspiration from the skill. He was inspired by Few. Again, the Valentina standing his ground against NXP, not caring about his life at all. And remember, this is a Valentina. Higher levels give more sustain. And Few was able to land a lot of his skills, regain back more HP, and then it's, snowballing. This is the effect of the Valentina. He's now recovered in this game, and this is the threat of having a Valentina against his lineup of NXPE. You group up, more targets, more HPs to gain back.
Few has been here even before Season 1 of the MPL. What is a tough 2 minutes to start? What is just the 2 minutes? What is the early 2 deaths? Nothing. Few has helped claw Bren Esports back into this position, and now Ding can't do what he was doing earlier. Like, that's it. It's so much harder now for Nexplay EVOS, and their lead, no more. What is that, 36 gold?
Yeah.
30 gold? I think that's what the system was trying to say.
I mean, even with all that being said, right? Yeah, Few had a hard early game. That veterancy is obviously playing a part here, and that's what's, like you said, Leo, it crawled them back into this game here. And now you're just having Super Marco. Super Marco, like I said too, was pretty much babysat in the early game by Ogwin. And actually that played dividends for them because now we even saw it from just the auto attack, right? Super Marco is deadly here. So they're in a great position for this next Lord of the game. And NXPE can still fight this. It's just they have to go about this. They have to find the angles they want to. And that's why they're parking Ding topside to push.
It's kind of awkward now for NXPE that Ogwin hasn't even died after the initial take that NXPE did on the early game.
Well, Brusco might be looking for an angle himself. Not going to be able to find it. Lord's still up here. Rough Waves comes out. Boyet again! Able to secure the Lord. Flap TZ falls here, but Super Marco still unleashing. It's only a 1-for-1, but NXPE with a Lord in their hands again.
Boyet, the smooth operator.
I mean, they're going to be happy with that. Again, Boyet, another retribution secured by NXPE. Lord is upon Bren Esports, but team fight is going to matter. However, again, it has cost them some issues. The time's journey coming up from Ogwin. Even though Flap TZ died, he was in the middle of that fight, was not able to land the bravest fighter on the right targets. Bren Esports, they still have a lot of kits on their arsenal. The amount of controls that Kyle TZ and Few have, the taunts and the fear, it's disrupting the fight for NXPE. But at this point, it's a stalemate, you know? Anybody could win. It's a matter of execution. But again, as we mentioned, NXPE, right now, they're facing a lot of issues.
Yeah, short to say, Bren Esports, they can have their way. It's so much easier. For them, it's just 1 + 1 = 2. Nexplay EVOS, the reason why they've only been walking away with stolen Lords is Bren Esports not making that approach so much easier for them. For them, it's more like 1 + 3 + X, find Y. But you will find it eventually. It's going to be there. It's just much harder to find.
Yeah, boy, it's the scientist.
Yeah.
I'll get there, don't worry.
Yes.
Flashbacks of college algebra.
I was thinking more like just geometry.
Geometry.
You know,
Simple math.
4th grade, bro.
Well, regardless of what math they're trying to solve here right now, you know, we called it a dead lane earlier, but man, Boyet's been like, you know what, it's, hey, if I have a dead lane in the jungle, it's completely fine. If I come in, swoop up with some clutch retributions, that's all I need right now.
Yeah, from dead laner to dead set on objectives. I will get that Lord no matter what.
Oh,
the Athena shield.
Yeah.
Good thing it popped off.
Well, he's going to be able to survive for now. So, I mean, still, that's kind of what we're expecting, right? NXPE, they are going to be looking anytime they can, get numbers advantage or at least the resource advantage, right? Ultimate's down, especially like Time's Journey. We talked about it for quite a few minutes before we even jumped in the game. That's already an advantage. But still, they're going to have to do that again before that next Lord comes up.
Something to watch out for. Number 1, Super Marco has yet to die, right? So Bren Esports doing an amazing job of protecting their main core hero. Ding is in trouble. Oh, Lord.
He should be able to get out of this one. Hold on.
Oh,
it's 3 versus 1. Electro Final Blow comes out from Few. They're going to be hunting him down.
What?
Ding! How does he survive that?
Did he just eye for an eye and R for an eye?
He did. He even dodged the tail end of a bravest fighter.
The side steps on this guy. Ding.
Man, that's why I love seeing it. Anytime a Benedetta pops up, whatever player, team's playing him, it's always a beauty to see.
But I want to highlight this view, though. Didn't even commit the flicker. He knew that, this is not a good kill. Even if we get it, it doesn't put a lot of advantage to our side. I'll just reserve this flicker for the next Lord fight, which is going to be happening in just a bit. Oh,
Kyle TZ did get petrified, but not going to go down or anything here. Brusco not able to find the kill he was looking for. So now the Lord dance presumes here. Still fighting for it as both teams want to get this advantage.
Look at the damage
It's
on
on the
Ogwin.
side of NXPE, but right now it's just going to reset.
Ogwin is throwing bombs, literally.
It's little pokes though, but it adds up. The longer this Lord gets drawn out, the more damage NXPE will receive from the golden egg.
I'm wondering what's up with Doming. We've seen Marco pop off, no doubt. This Melissa is ready to go. But where's Doming at right now?
I mean, it's hard. If you're playing a carry, you're waiting for the called order coming out from View, which is also a big factor as to why NXP find it really hard to fight into Bren Esports. Because every single time, View, if he sees the promise, he always copies the cult altar, and it gives an instant reset for Bren Esports. And the Time's Journey and Cult Altar is such a great kit against carry.
Yeah, they're still going to be looking for it. Also, Ding waiting on the back side Could be looking to crash down here from Bren from
Ouch.
a
Ouch.
bad angle for them, but look at the poke to Ogwin. Still, Lord going to reset. Ding still in position. Might find it in the bush.
Oh!
The burst is there. Ogwin going to be in trouble. Flickers out, but it's Ding that finds the kill. Trying to cut them
Petrified.
off the best he can. Can he get super
Oh!
Marco? He does. Ding with a double, but on the backside, Kyle Teasy grabbing a kill for himself. It's a 2 for 2. Make it 3. Bren finding another kill. Boyette falls, and Ding still trying to find a moment himself in the mid lane.
As much as Nexplay EVOS put on the board there, they threatened the Lord take, could have wiped out Bren Esports. It seems like in the most significant time, they decided against both, and they got neither.
Well, right now, they're going to be looking to get this Lord here. Bren, good position, but can Ding do anything about it? Trying to stall out the best he can. Electo final blow going to be committed. A few in trouble here. Half health. Looking for an angle himself. Lord now a fourth of the health here. Still going to be focused. Kyle Teasy should be able to get it. He does. Securing the Lord here for Bren. Now making their way. Presence known with Teasy in the mid lane. Going to push them back for now.
This is becoming a problem now for NXPE. Flat, Teasy, and Few on the back lines. They don't let Doming play his game. Yes, Ding did have an amazing outplay against both heroes on the side of Bren Esports. I think that was Ogwin and Super Marco himself. First time, he dies, but Bren Esports, they retaliated. Few was like, nah, dude, you're dead. I'm just going to stand on the front lines, try to fight the carry because I have Flap Teasy with me. And NXPE was not in fighting shape at that moment because they didn't have that Petrify coming out from the Benedetta.
Which is again made possible by Bren Esports' new age TZ brothers, right? Flap and Kyle just split up the Nexplay EVOS lineup. Yeah. Goyong is having a hard time popping that called altar. It's so hard to be Goyong right now. I feel for him. I see him, and he's trapped between a rock and a hard place. He's like, oh, he can't get the ult. It's no use. If anything, Few has better called altars this game.
Yeah, I could say the same, right? I mean, he's had those moments for them, and right now, I feel like Bren, with that being the lore that they took here, they're happy with that inhibitor turret going down. They get the tier 2 as well, and now they're just fighting for space and position here. NXP doesn't want to give anything up, though, if they can help it, but right now, Ding, like the final blow, gonna come out. Flap Teasy did flicker in, still the back and forth. There's the time's journey. Brusco can't get the kill he's looking for as he falls. Super Marco adding another one to the list. Still going under the turret. Unleashing here. Ding trying to find anything he can. Cult Altar comes out. And they hold on for a little bit longer.
Again, whenever they see the Cult Altar come out from NXPE, Bren is like, disperse. No clash whatsoever. No extension. We just back off. And that discipline alone, that veterancy is what is allowing Bren Esports to have this amazing control over the team fight of NXPE. And at this point, it feels like playing against two Lapu-Lapus. Even Pew is playing really aggressively.
I mean, right now, look at that. Where is Domang? He's flickering out. He hasn't had any space at all to work with here. 21 minutes in the game. I feel like, Bren has had the answer to this carry pick as well.
And that's why I keep wondering, where's Domang at? Most carries that are successful in the MPL shred more than a Melissa. The Melissa holds on to that Inspire. That's the only reason why she would match up in damage output. But the way Bren has played and cornered Doming in this position, it's masterful.
Yeah, I mean, we did see Doming dominate with the carry last week, but at Bren Esports, they're playing a different ball game right now. Again, the frontliners are just disrespecting the carry at this moment. Few walking over the front lines, having that Cult Altar as backup. NXPE, they don't want to commit, they don't want to fight, because if they do fight Few, imagine playing into a hero that regains his HP back and also has his own Cult Altar. You're not gonna commit into that. And then suddenly Flap Teasy just flickers in.
Midnight, are you saying there's more than just two frontliners? Even Few counts as one, Boyette!
Right now, this is going to go in the hands of Bren if they can. Oh! Yet! How does he do it? Able to scare another Lord, but can they survive long enough from the damage output from Super Marco? No, they can't. So despite getting the Lord again, Bren might push this one in for a win.
One cannon, though, for Bren Esports. One minion cannon.
Oh, and Lord comes out. So that's at least some deterrence.
Yeah, but 40 seconds.
That's a long time here.
40 seconds.
They're going to push him back. The Lord's going to go down here
Look
in
at
just
Kyle.
a second. Kyle TZ doing exactly what he needs to do. What a move. Able to get the kill with the Appraisal's Wrath. And that's going to be it there as Bren Esports takes game 1.
Valiant effort by Nexplay EVOS in this first game, but Bren Esports had it figured out. Never let go, despite Lords being stolen away by the smooth operator, Boyet. Just wasn't going to be enough to beat Bren.
Coach Ducky smiling right now. They won with a diggy. But man, oh man, what a masterful performance, masterclass even, performance coming out from, Few and Kyle TZ. This is why, Flap TZ, this is why they're M2 champions. They know their respective jobs. Again, I mentioned earlier, it felt like playing against two Lapu-Lapus. Both of them were frontliners.
Yeah, not only that, but, yeah, NXPE had a great start. They pretty much shut down Few in the early game, at least, where Bren kind of had to take that back seat, like approach things in a smoother manner, or a slower manner, actually, because when you have that deficit for Few, he had to work around that, and they did that, exactly. And they also played around the Kadita and the double Petrify that they had to work around. And again, with the babysitting of Super Marco, he was able to just freely hit later on, pop off. The damage was there with the auto attacks.
And that's what made Bren Esports' approach and Nexplay EVOS' comeback all the more impossible, because there was so much that they were trying to do, and Bren just had the solution to any sort of retaliation at any point. Midnight, break down game 1 for us.
What a fantastic game. Not series, game. Both by Bren Esports and Nexplay EVOS. It was a back and forth affair, but Bren Esports just had a better solution, had a better equation against NXPE on the back of the veterancy between Few and Flap TZ. Welcome back to Nella's Desk. My name is Midnight, and we are going to be breaking down as to how Bren Esports, completely broke down the strategy of NXPE. This is still the same storyline that we've witnessed for a long time, the Faramis and Valentina, but it's kind of a different story now because the Valentina was shut off during the early game, but was also the main win condition for Bren Esports. He was able to, make a lot of space for Super Marco by acting as another layer of frontline. Imagine playing with NXPE's lineup against 3 frontliners on the side of Bren, with the Fredrin, the Lapu-Lapu, and the Valentina. Now, the beautiful thing about Valentina is that whenever you're a higher level over your enemies, you get HP, you regain HP whenever you cast a skill onto them. And that is what Few maximized in this game, knowing that NXP will most likely group up, especially with the Faramis on their side. It's likely that they will try to group up with the Cult Altar. Few was able to, completely annoy the frontliners of NXPE. And it didn't even come to a point where doming DR was such a big threat, because Flap TZ and Few was always standing on the front line to make sure that there's no shenanigans happening from NXPE. Even though Boyd DR did secure a lot of objectives for NXPE, it wasn't enough to stop the snowball of Bren Esports. And objectives, yes, it is what will win you games, but if you win a lot of the team fights, you will, of course, convert that into objectives yourselves. And Super Marco, has been the ace of, Bren Esports, having dished out so much damage on this game. 160,000 damage output on the Melissa compared to the carry of NXPE, which didn't pop off. Super Marco did pop off in this game. And true to his, history, only die once in this game. It's rarely that you see this guy die in the game, and he just completely dominated NXPE with a lot of the positioning that he did on a team fight, and of course the damage output alongside the Inspire. 515 on the KDA, high GPM of 782, and of course kill participation of 67%. Was always standing on the back line and, minding his position, making sure that he doesn't die, because he was one of the main damage dealers if ever NXP comes to, the back line. Like, if Ding and Boyet has an access towards the back line, he was the primary damage dealer, supported by the fact that Flap TZ and Few was willing to commit themselves towards the front line, making sure that Doming had no access against the gold laner of Bren Esports, alongside Kyle TZ as well. You know, there's a lot of interactions going on in this lineup. There's a lot of taunts. There's a lot of displacements, as Nisos mentioned earlier. Like, if you're NXPE, even if you have CC immunity, if you don't have access to those, it's hard to play against the lineup of Bren Esports, especially if you want to, you know, threaten Bren Esports with your own kits. The time journey just pops out. And Ogwin has been actually phenomenal on this Diggy with the bombs, getting the vision, and getting the damage onto NXPE, making sure that the team fight is awkward on the Tiger side. And Bren Esports, they just took control of how they fight along, against NXPE. And it came to a point where Super Marco was the main damage dealer of this game. It was not even Doming on the carry. Usually when we see carry, he is the main threat against the frontliners. But again, the problem was few. If he loses HP, he casts a skill, he get it back. And again, it felt like playing against too many frontliners on the side of Bren Esports. It was a back and forth game between these two teams, but Bren Esports had a better time on solving the problems being given by NXPE. And I think it is something that they should address on game number 2 because it was an issue from the draft itself.
I concur, Robert. I concur. And the fact that the meta is slowly shaping up to where the solutions themselves, not even wondering if the problem is there to be solved, is slowly becoming the direction of the metagame, I'm worried. Because again, it makes games like this run longer, right? Because a hero like Diggy, as is strong, even if you don't have to overload all of those petrifies, where does that leave the rest of the meta? Because again, the way the draft looked, honestly, there was a lot for us to talk about, and that's what made the whole last pick Diggy such a key pick for Bren Esports.
I think it just worked really well for them, and that's, again, why we spent so much time before we actually got into the game talking about that hero specifically.
Yep. Before we get back into the matchup, let's go ahead and find our smart game face of the day. Right here at the shooting gallery, we're looking for folks who are going to be the next smart game face of the day winner. Just flash the hashtag PowerSmart on any of your devices and show us. There it is. It's this handsome young fellow putting up that hashtag PowerOfSmart. When the camera hits you, make sure you put it up, and you can win a redeemable code for in-game. Congratulations. We'll do it again tomorrow. Now,
Beautiful smile. Beautiful smile.
you do it. No hashtags.
Nah,
There it is.
I can't, you know, I don't have my phone next to me.
Yeah, that just we
Hashtag.
give it for them. It's for them. It's for them. All right. Now, on to the discussion. I think we're all in agreement that it starts with the draft, right? How does Nexplay EVOS draft now to possibly bring us to game 3?
I mean, it's hard to react to that because it's last pick, you know? It's a last pick Diggy. When I said it was a draft problem, it's not because of the way that they drafted. It's because of the fact that Bren had an amazing solution. And, you know, talking about the adjustment when they picked up the Diggy, even though it is not a hero that they usually used to playing, it was a solution that counters what NXPE wants to do. Even though there was a significant threat, a lot of downsides actually because NXPE's lineup was meant to play faster. It worked out in the end.
Not only that, but I feel like, you know, even when NXP picked that Kadita at the end there, you know, we were a couple of people, and ourselves included, were like, oh, you know, what a little bit of a surprise pick, right? But the double Petrify was going to be there, and that answer for the Diggy was obviously there, right? So I feel like even when you look back at the previous draft, NXP technically, it was pretty good. I mean, that was a good draft, right? You obviously knew that they had a couple winning potential strategies that they could play around with, right? Yeah. Win conditions, if you will. But unfortunately, it was just stymied, basically, with that last pick from Bren. So now the thing is I'm assuming the flip-flop, right? And then how do you get the upper hand for NXPE here?
Well, to begin the flop and to get the flip, may I posit maybe a change of direction? What if, instead of investing in mid first, what if you try investing in your cores first? Because I think, despite how well that Martis went well, and again, the damage potential that Doming was presenting with the carry, maybe they could have gotten better picks there. Maybe they could have invested into better cores, short to say.
Yeah, I mean, for NXP, it's just a matter of, you know, actually completing your lineup while also thinking of potential counters. And for the most part, that has been the weakness of the blue side or the first pick, because you also have to cover your bases when it comes to the enemy last picks. And going on to game number 2, I do like what you pointed out. When you settle for the course, you also have to think about potential counters. And even though they picked up the Martis for the ideology of having this amazing frontliner without having to worry about CC, it's kind of lackluster in some departments. Like, even though he managed to secure a lot of the objectives in the game, it didn't do much for NXPE aside from dodge a lot of things.
He's peanut butter, bro. Some days peanut butter just won't cut it.
Now everyone's just going to think Martis is peanut butter.
Yeah, if you want protein, get some chicken.
Right? See, sometimes you want something more than just peanut butter in your sandwich. Sometimes you want some bolognese.
Hold the ketchup.
Oh, hold the ketchup, right?
Hold the
No
ketchup in your cereal,
on the
man.
cereal, ladies and gents.
Apparently, Diggy wasn't ketchup in Bren Esports' lineup, all right, folks? I gotta take that back. It was more like condensed milk. It was more like syrup. It was more just like...
I could use that on my cereal.
Yes, can.
With
see?
water,
See?
ice.
Midnight, have breakfast with me now.
Tomorrow.
All right, see? So, again, we can't help but think that Bren Esports just exactly knew what they were doing, and they had a great mindset towards the potential problem that Nexplay EVOS was showing. So now, again, we're expecting Nexplay EVOS to be on the red. What if they stay blue? What's the mindset there, right? What are they thinking?
Maybe it's to either get Fredrin
Yeah.
or some cheesy hero like a Fanny. I don't think Fanny is going to slip through the draft, especially with Kyle Lisi on the opposition. But I do like the... I will like the confidence of NXP if they still decide for the to go with blue. Actually, we don't know if Bren Esports will choose on game number 2, because that will decide on how the draft will go on game number 2. Again, there's a lot of downsides having blue side, especially in the current meta, because there's such a lot of open heroes in the in the pool, like the Valentina, the Glue, even the Edith is an option. So there's a lot of there's a lot of potential for NXP to choose red if they are the ones deciding on game number 2, if that's the case.
Not only that, but I feel like one of the big things that NXP has to do here is allow your gold laner to shine, right? Because previous game, man, the question was there a couple times, where is it? Where's that damage? Where is he? And I feel like a lot of that just had, and it wasn't necessarily the hero pick or anything like that. Obviously, Carry can shred. We've seen it happen many times, but it was more so the allowing to get to that point, right? Because that's what we saw from even Ogwin early on, where that babysitting was going on for Super Marco. Super Marco profited from it. He got the shine there. So I feel like that needs to happen here for NXPE specifically. And it doesn't just come down to that hero because, yeah, Carry was a great pick, but you need to allow that Carry to shine as the game goes on.
More on the Carry. Is it just me or is her stock slowly going down? I think more and more other marksmen in the current S11 metagame are becoming more of a priority. Again, Moskov, right? Moskov, Brody, even. Beatrix. Dude, slowly, Carry is starting to join Martis in that peanut butter bottle, jar.
Slowly, we might even see Mia or Layla pop out one time.
More than Carry.
Yeah.
Hopefully not.
Maybe a Leslie, right? I wouldn't mind a Leslie.
Yeah.
I mean, we already saw Zilong, so...
Yeah, there's more surprises. Maybe this will be the season. That one time, I get to see my favorite hero in the world, Gord. Don't know if it's going to happen, but Season 11 might be that time.
All right. Let's reel it back in. Here we go. Game 2 has already begun. And as expected, Nexplay EVOS switching it up, being the second pick this time around on red side. Bren Esports on blue, banning out the Kadira and the Fanny, while Nexplay EVOS takes out the Fanny and the 1-1.
Yep, again, you don't want to be giving the Fanny towards Kyle Lisi. We saw what he was capable of when he's given the heroes like this. And now Glue is out of the option. Joy as well. Valentina again is open, but also Paramis. But I think Bren Esports will likely go for the Valentina route while giving both Fredrin and, Paramis on the other side.
Well, a lot on the table here. But, with this first phase of the bans already out here, I would like to see them. I'm wondering, do you take those focus on the cores here? Because, yeah, NXP is going to have 2 that they can focus on if they want to start there with the first phase. There's the Fermis.
Yeah.
Pops up. So Valentina's open. Do we see that?
Exactly. They can go Valentina X, Valentina
Fredrin, Valentina
Claude,
Valentina Brody.
Oh.
Actually, Brody sounds awesome.
Valentina Fred sounds better.
Oh, it wasn't Paramis first pick.
Oh.
No, sorry. It was a Valentina first pick.
It was a Valentina first pick for Bren Esports.
For Bren Esports, yeah.
There you go.
We're confirming that now.
All right. Came from the phone itself, straight up.
Yeah. Okay, well, still, I mean, so that leaves, I think we saw the switch there, possibly, and we're going to know in just a couple seconds here, but that was a Fredrin that was switched up, I believe.
Yeah. I think you would expect a Fredrin alongside a Paramis for NXPE.
Could be.
Wait, that was a Yuzong.
That was a Fredrin and a Yuzhong.
First pick for Nexplay EVOS, Fredrin Yuzhong. There you go. All right.
Did you just give Paramis Valentina to Bren Esports?
This is the correct timeline. This is the correct timeline, but I'm not so sure if that's the case for Nexplay EVOS because, yes, the possibility for Faramis Valentina is out there. Faramis, I don't know, Valentina Faramis, Valentina Farsa, Valentina Eve. Oh, Lord.
Valentina Harris.
Valentina Harris. Would you guys rather see Valentina Faramis on the same team or opposite teams?
I want to see them both on the same team.
Because it rarely happens.
We don't do,
yes.
we don't see shenanigans like two cult alters at the same game. Okay, they go for the Hayabusa, which is a Kyle TZ special, and Flop TZ's Lapu Lapu once again. I'm surprised we haven't seen Esmeralda. She's buffed.
Yeah, and she's one of the few heroes who actually do well against Lapu Lapu.
Yeah.
Because Homie gets a lot of shields.
But now you're stuck with, Fredrin Yuzong for NXPE, which also is, although they're on the same both here, both sides, you know what the heroes will be going to. Like, you know what the roles are. Jungle Fredrin, Jungle Hayabusa. Gold laner might be picked up here by Nexplay EVOS. Either that or they go for the Farsa.
I think you go for a gold laner.
Yeah, same. Okay, there's the Brody.
High five.
You mentioned it earlier. That's the sound of the high five.
There it is.
Because it's locked
in. Can you do it again?
One more time.
Nice.
Oh, wait.
There you go.
There
you go.
right.
Nice. I think it matters because, again, this was one of the few things I noted in Game 1. What made it so difficult for Nexplay EVOS to take advantage of what was a great early game, right?
Yeah.
Like, Doming just wasn't putting damage on the board. You set him up. You set up your Maknae. I believe he's the youngest member of Nexplay EVOS, if I'm not wrong.
Well, not only that, but part of the reason why I feel like he struggled on that carry pick previous game was also just because of the fact that he didn't have the range he needed, right? So at least now you're on Brody.
So for NXP, you ban out Beatrix here. You don't want to be playing up against heroes that can deal with the Brody, especially the Harith.
Yes.
We mentioned it earlier. They still want to let Kyle TZ play. They're banning out. Well, it was from the previous series. If you're playing Hayabusa, you should ban out the Hilda because it's a nightmare to play that game. So Hilda gets removed. Beatrix still for NXP. Either that or you ban the Cloud, you play into the Beatrix because you do have the Yuzong. So it's a matchup that is allowable for Nexplay EVOS if they decide to go for that route. Because if you let Bren Esports play the Beatrix, then you can get your hands on the likes of the Farsa, even though you're up in the face of Hayabusa and Lapu Lapu, because you do have that long-range threat.
Yeah, and it's very rare that the Eve and the Farsa are not banned. And that's still out here. Even the Faramis is open. Yeah. So it's not so difficult to be Nexplay EVOS. What are we looking at? The Beatrix is going to be pickable. Beatrix is available.
Wait.
Josh and Coach Eason are fine with that.
Are we seeing a Ruby from Bren Esports? Or a Cho, actually. Cho is open for Ogwen.
What's up for mid? Gord?
For next. Kagura sounds awesome.
Don't want to get my hopes up.
Kagura, Farsa.
Kagura, the likes of Lunox.
Lilia.
Also
Not
good.
so. I'm okay with Lilia, actually.
Or Kadita. Kadita's still okay.
On Goyong.
Yeah.
All right.
Either that or you pick up the roamer right now. Because you already see the the mage matchup. It's the Valentina for Bren Esports. So you pick up either Ruby or Atlas or Cho, whatever. There you go. Cho gets snatched up by Nexplay EVOS. That puts Ruby up there for Bren Esports, honestly.
Well, Ogwen.
Yeah, Ruby would be a great choice. I feel like, too, with NXPE, they already pretty much the boxes are checked for them for the most part. They could actually just go with a lot of the top picks for mid lane, and then just that will work, right? Whatever they want to draft.
Whatever's left.
Yeah, whatever's left, whatever they feel like playing. But so far, in terms of, you've got your front line solidified, you've got great pick potential, you've got a solid, stable jungler, and you can work around this, right? Now, for Bren, on the other hand, this could be difficult. A Hayabusa game, like we saw previously in the previous series, But knowing that it's going to be the hands of Kyle Teasy, you still have to be aware
There
of
you
that.
go.
There's the Ruby, and they take the carry to round out the draft here for Bren Esports.
This is Super Marco special. You know, the carry on the hands of Super Marco, touted as one of the best carry players. I mean, alongside Benacuti. He has a history of not dying with his hero. Has a clear history. Now, for NXPE, again, Kagura is an option. Good against the matchup against the Valentina. Also decent against the Ruby. You know, could use the umbrella to look for the bushes, get some vision for Bren Esports, for Nexplay EVOS. And it's not a hero that can be easily bursted down by Bren. So I think it's an option. Either that or you go for the Farsa routes. Okay, there you go.
All right, so they've literally minimized the amount of ults that few can get. It's like literally just the way the dragon or bust.
This is the first time we've seen Paramis completely negated in the game. Like, nobody touched it at all.
Nothing.
Yeah. Well, I guess, you know, and this is something that I feel like NXP is probably like, you know what, let's just go with a bursty mage. Not only that, but also that's, in a way, it's mobile enough that you can actually either bait things out or you have that burst potential. That's the thing about Kagura, right? She really is one of those heroes that you don't know what to expect. Because of the way that the combination works, her burst potential is there. The fact that she can get away from a lot of things, it just works out so well.
You know what's scary?
Umbrellas.
No.
Oh.
There's 2 dragons in this game.
Yeah.
I'm actually curious if you will go for the Flicker or he will go for the Petrify.
Yeah. There is the Way and there is the Black Dragon.
And there's also a dragon on the other side. If Valentina copies one.
Yes. All right. So
it's gonna be a lot of dragons.
It can get wild.
Yeah.
It can get crazy.
Like 2 dragons just roaming around the map.
Yeah. No, they're both CCMU, so they just bump into each other. There would be zero collision there.
Yeah. That's why I'm actually curious as to what the battle spell for few would be.
Yeah.
Because Petrify would sound awesome in this game.
Oh, I'm thinking Flicker. It's gonna be either Flicker or Purify, one or the other.
I mean, I don't mind having a Valentina play a Petrify battle spell because
that's blasphemy, Midnight.
We did see a tank Lancelot earlier on.
He's gonna die a lot.
I was gonna say
there's a precedent. There was a precedent. There's 2 years in working that tank Lancelot.
Not only that, but you want to be able to flicker terrify people, right?
Yeah.
But you also want to be able to copy the dragon, the Black Dragon form, and then petrify everybody on the side of NXP.
Started to sound like ketchup on cereal. Joseph, you were saying?
No, I mean, I am expecting the Petro. No, not the Petrify. We get lost in Midnight's.
It's on the same boat.
Midnight's world. Yeah, Midnight's world. I'm expecting the flicker here, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, there's going to be a lot of just dragons everywhere, I feel like. And not only that, but crucial is also the way of the dragon, working around that or utilizing it. And then at the same time, like I said with the Kagura pick, I am a fan of Kagura as a hero in general. And I feel like it's not often that we get to actually see her played, right? So that burst potential is going to be there. It's scary. And even before that was locked in, that's why I said the boxes are all checked here, right? And then you just round it out even more. It's like the cherry on top. You have now this burst mage, the Kagura is here, and you can actually get a lot of outplay potential as well from it.
Yeah, now that we have eyes on this Kagura, Midnight, what's the scouting report on Goyong's Kagura? Have you seen this in action?
One of the best, I would say. One of the best Kagura players I've seen. Pulls off a lot of amazing TikTok plays on the hero. And again, it's a game wherein the Kagura will have a better time. And having it on Goyong's hands, he is a Kagura specialist. So it is a threat against Bren Esports.
All right, let's see if this is going to be enough to bring us into Game 3 in tonight's final series. It's Bren Esports versus Nexplay EVOS.
Well, already middle lane, right? The focus here for both of these. A little poke back and forth, but still, it's actually few this time that's poking down Goyong here. But still, they pretty much win that little skirmish, and they're going to set up for that first Lithuander.
It's a flicker of Valentina.
Sad.
I'm disappointed.
Sad midnight noises.
Ogun and View are first to the scene. Here comes Boyet. Let's see if he has anything to say about this Lithuander situation.
Of course he does. Right. He did that to the Lords.
Oh, yeah, of course. What is but one little Lithuander?
It's like, come on, it's just a warm-up, And there is a trend for a lot of MPL teams, wherein the junglers don't actually try to contest for the Little Wonders, and Bren Esports is one of them. You know, Kyle TZ just wants his farm. He doesn't want to commit retribution. He actually hasn't used it, even though there was a clear sign that Boyd used his.
Holding it close to his chest.
Yeah. No retribution is happening here for Bren Esports.
Whoa.
So Boyd has used it twice. Oh! Okay, there you go.
Well, he used that. So, you know, one thing, though, that specifically about Hayabusa is if he's able to get these early kills, right? Especially if he can get it on Domeng, specifically in that gold lane. That's going to be crucial, as we mentioned even previously with when Ryzen was playing it. You know, if you can get that snowball going, that's the best case scenario here for you if you're Bren.
All right, this is the Nexplay EVOS, making some leeway, pushing out any potential answers from this turtle spawning in about a second now. Flapteasy and Few. This is hard for Few. I mean, he's struggling to get that last XP cart.
Yeah, so this is probably just going to go in the hands of NXPE, but still, Kyle TZ goes in. Flapteasy, though, able to secure that turtle here. The crash comes down, still looking for a kill. Few with the Black Dragon form. There's Ding as well. Pushing him back. Few has to flicker. Able to get the first blood, though, from Boyet. They're still going. Few quite low. They have the CC. It's Brusco. Able to grab a kill himself, and Ding falls. A trade there with Bren coming out on top.
Bren Esports says you get nothing, sir. A turtle steal plus a couple of kills on the way out.
Again, it's Flapteasy and Few leading the charge here for Bren Esports. Now Few is having a better game on the Valentina. Again, this is a huge threat. There is still that Lapu-Lapu presence, and there might be two Lapu-Lapus in this game. Not in the essence of having Lapu-Lapu as a hero, but the playstyle alone for Bren Esports. And boy, they are missed the retribution timing on the turtle a little bit. Quite on the quota, I would say.
What happened? Is this Boya timed out?
It's exhausted.
Is he on cooldown?
Yeah.
Diminishing returns. That's
like,
what's happening.
I've been retching too good.
I can't have perfect
There
stats,
has to be,
right?
you know, Thanos has said there has to be some sense of balance between a lot of things.
Well, it's only the first turtle, right? So, boy, it's probably thinking that as well. He's still, I mean, technically, Flapteasy getting his hands on this Lapu-Lapu here, doing amazing so far.
Yeah. You know, boy, they are, maybe his headspace right now is that, nah, I need to steal it. I don't get it.
If it's clearly mine, I don't want it.
I don't want it. You get it. I'll retro it for you. If it's you who started it, I'll steal it.
All right, that's one way to look at it, because again, it seems to be ringing true for this series at least, right? If it looks like it never belonged to Boyet to begin with, then more likely he will take it.
Midnight didn't get the petrify Valentina, so that's his mindset now. Boyet objective thinking, right? So that's
trying to look for different things.
Welcome to Midnight's world.
To tuck away the tinfoil hat, Flapteasy walks into a bush where Boyet is. How about round two, all right? Turtle's already spawned.
Again, it's Few and Flapteasy and Boyet in the same space.
Well, you know, this time Flapteasy setting himself up there, trying to buy some time. Few does use that dragon form. They're going to push Boyet back here. He's quite low. Can they grab the kill? Few able to grab that one. Turtle's going to reset for now, but with Boyet down, Bren has the advantage here as they go ahead and work on the turtle. Looks like NXPE is just going to back off for now. Top side, though, a lot of pressure.
I can't say I've never been in that situation where I thought my dash as a Fredrin would work, and then I just end up bumping into a wall. That's what happened to Boyet here, and it does happen. It does happen. Fredrin has one of those weirder dashes.
Yeah.
Yeah, you feel like it's a long dash, but it's not. And this is becoming a problem here for NXPE. There's just too much layer of control on Few, Ogwen, especially with Few, you know, having that Black Dragon form. And there's also a lot of damage coming out from both Flapteasy and Few, which is scary considering that these two heroes are momentum based. They deal a lot of damage, and mind you, you're not even forced to fight into the carry now. What more come the late game?
Yeah, because I mean, so far it's been vacation mode for Super Marco. You know, he's just able to farm up, have a good time here. And that's why you see some focus up here at top side, right? They don't want to allow Domeng to have that same kind of advantage, right? Just farm up, Goyang here too, Brusco there to help him out, but still, the damage has been done to that turret. Bren's still holding on to, what, a 2K lead at this point.
Yeah, and you know what? NXPE, even though you're protecting Domeng right now, they're sewing up a lot of gold in XP away from their own gold laner. When Bren Esports is clearing their own gold, their own wave on the gold lane, both supports are far away from the wave, such that Super Marco is able to get the maximum gold and XP. Meanwhile, Domeng had to clear the wave under the tower, but also the other two players were there with him. So, they're soaking up a lot of XP and gold.
Understandably so, Midnight. I get it. It's because Bren Esports is presenting and threatening a kill. So you gotta, wrap around your Brody, wrap around Doming. But for Super Marco, again, this lineup has been together for the better part of a year. They understand that when Super Marco's in trouble, we know how to protect him, or he knows how to protect himself. Look at mid though.
Oh! Wow, what a reaction there.
Anime moment.
If only we had slow-mo, right?
I'm pretty sure we have a replay of that.
We probably do, but we can appreciate it in real time. And we just did, because what a play there, but still able to avoid that, and now leading all into the third turtle of the game.
Let it live in my heart for, I'd say, a couple of months. I'll remember that.
Yeah, that highlight would be played a lot of times. I mean, myself included, I would clip that.
I have so many questions, like, who dashed in first? Did Few see it? Did Brusco see it?
Well, right now it's going to be the turtle, the focus here. Ding making his way
Play
there.
it once
Turtle
again.
1/4, Flap Teasy jumping in, going to flicker in though. Trying to stun him if he can. They go in. It's Flap Teasy getting the turtle again. Brusco falls here to Kyle Teasy, and Ding's in trouble as he falls in the jungle as Super Marco grabs himself a kill. And it's a Bren again coming out massive with the trade.
Bren Esports, at this point, you're going to have to worry about Boyet. He's been controlled the entirety of that turtle take. With just you, Ogun, taking the front line and using their skills to lock down Boyet, he didn't have the chance to try and take the turtle away from Bren Esports. And look at this. Now you have to deal with the carry.
Now the carry is online. And again, as mentioned earlier, Super Marco is having a cakewalk. It's so difficult. Oh, there's a kick.
Brusco going to go in with the Way of the Dragon. Can they find the kill they're looking for? Ogwin going to get taken out by Domeng. They're still looking for more. Ding is going to be in trouble here as Few grabs a kill. Flap Teasy was looking for an angle, but not going to commit. Few, one hit away.
Oh!
Domeng can't get it. And now it's Super Marco, the focus. He can't withstand the damage. Few still there. The focus on Boyet. Flap Teasy now joining the party as well. Shadow kill comes out looking for another. Kyle Teasy flexing on him.
They avenge their fallen comrade, the gold laner, traded out for two, a jungler and a roam. I think that's worth it for Bren Esports.
It definitely is. Now we're about to see a replay of what happened. Again, Few on this Valentina has been phenomenal. That take onto Ding, he was able to take the dragon away from NXPE, even slain the dragon himself. And after that, he didn't back off. He was like, 1% HP, okay, I see the Fred there, we'll try to take him out. And Bren Esports, they got one more. They're supposed to be happy with what they got, but Few was like, no, I want to take more.
And that is controlled Asim, as we would like to call it here in the Philippines.
Asim.
It's a level of just greed that is controlled. It's a disciplined greed.
It's a sweet Asim.
Yeah, you should have been happy with what you got, but you said, I think I can go for more. It's ambition. It's misplaced, but if you can get away with it, why not?
Well, it's working for them, right? And not only that, but that's the first turret that NXP has gotten almost at 10 minutes in the game. So this is going to be another objective going in the hands of Bren Esports here. Lord secured. But NXP gets a little bit of space to work with as they grab two turrets at this point in the game.
That's a tier 1 and a tier 2 up top. So I think they've maxed out what they can give to Domeng in that lane. Expect him to find more elsewhere. What's his item game looking like? At least he has his damage output set.
Yeah, I think this is a Demon Hunter sword to deal with probably the Lapu Lapu and Ruby. Either that or he's going for a Wind of Nature to deal with the carry. But Ding, again.
Oh, look at the burst.
Oh!
You can't escape Super Marco there, even with the dragon form, as Ding falls topside.
Few has kick.
Yeah, Few has the kick. NXP going to be in trouble here. They've got to defend at least as much as they can. Still having that normal Lord march on the bottom side. They're going to lose their tier 2 turret here in the mid lane as well.
That's double jeopardy. Few has the push, and then Ogun has the pull. No matter where you go, you're in trouble.
Yeah, right now you're going to see them. NXP in a dire situation. Inhibitor turret going to fall here on bottom side. As Bren takes the discipline route, they're going to be happy with that and back off. Unless an initiation is forced here. They do have the tools they need. Conceal comes out. They get a flicker out from Dome. Going in! Ogwin, though. Brusco still able to survive. They still go in. Torn apart memory was committed to. Goyang as well, able to survive that one.
That was like an anime fight. There's a lot of flickers going on. Ogwin found the right angle. Fortunately, didn't have the damage. And NXPE was able to get away. Now, looking at the items, it's hard for NXPE to itemize against this. There's a good mixture and balance between physical and magic damage from both the carry and Hayabusa with the physical and the Valentina with the burst damage that she has. And the beautiful thing about this is that she's running on a clock of destiny. She's even scaling towards that late game, and that damage coming out from the lightning truncheon, if it procs, that's gonna hurt.
And as we say that, we're looking at how Nexplay EVOS is at least trying, right? They have a good spread, but it's mostly for physical. No one has built a full tier 3 defense item to deal with Few. So I guess that's why Few is able to make these calls. Like, I think we can go for more. I think we can go for more. And that has been what pushes Bren Esports over the edge. That's what puts them almost 8K ahead here, 12 minutes in.
That is what allowed Bren Esports to just, punish Boyet on the early game. Having just that molten essence, not having any physical defense and magical defense up against both the Valentina and the Lapu Lapu, made it so that this game is really hard on NXP because you don't have the tempo on your side. And the frontliner on your side is not reliable enough. Both Brusco and Ding wants to be able to set up. If Boyet stands on the front line, he gets easily bursted down by Bren Esports.
Yeah, and that leads to the the question: can they even contest this Lord now that it's going to be spawning here? I would rather see NXP just defend again, and unless they can find some crazy pickoff here.
But Joseph, their lineup isn't meant to defend inside the base. They're so mobile. They're so good at picking fights. A high ground defense, not like this, not on a Kagura.
But man, with 10K behind, or sorry, 8K behind, your itemization is just, it's tough, right? It's not going to be in your favor here. So it looks like, look how fast this Lord gets taken out here. So now you're in a situation NXP is forced to defend for their lives here.
Yeah, again, this is awkward because if you think about how Bren Esports wants to knock on the doors of NXPE, there is that flicker play coming out from Ogwin, but also the potential of Few just to steal that Black Dragon form away from the Yuzong and go in himself.
Yeah.
And that's what makes this harder defense. Again, high ground defense, I believe it's only possible if Nexplay EVOS can punish Bren. If Bren somehow overcommits, right? So they're doing the right thing. They're staying inside their base. But this 10K goal lead now, nice to it's at 10K. What this is going to feel like when there's no turrets around is basically, I'd say, a medieval knight going up against a member of SWAT. There's a conceal play.
Conceal play comes in. Few was looking for a moment himself. Ogwin pulls it Ding. But so far, they just get that turret. They're going to be happy with that. The Lord has to be worked on from NXPE here. Bottom side, holding on to the last inhibitor turret of their base. But look at Bren, even with the lead, still patiently waiting here. Still working on it. Few going to bob and weave in. Divine Glaive picked up by going, will it be enough damage? Here comes Kyle TZ. He gets kicked into the base. The turret does fall. Kyle TZ taken out of the picture. NXP might give this a go unless they just decide to defend for now.
Beautiful timing from Brusco, getting the catcher onto the Hayabusa, but I love the patience coming up from Bren Esports. Few, he had a few moments there, no pun intended, had a few moments to use the flicker and kick somebody, but he was like, nah, this is veteran experience. I'm not going to come in. We're just going to clean the house, clean the towers, and look for the next setup. But NXP, they know they have that advantage here.
Oh, they're still going to be looking for another one. The suppress comes out. They're in a tranche, and they can't find it what they're looking for. Super Marco able to grab a kill. Gets Boyet. That's a double. Still going to be chasing down NXP in the mid lane. Flickers in himself, making a triple. Can he grab another one? The kick comes out. Brusco going to be in trouble. Few grabs the kill, and it's only Ding left alive to defend the base here as Bren marches down the mid lane to take the series in a sweep.
Bren Esports welcomes Nexplay EVOS into the big leagues with a dominant win, 2-0. About 15 minutes into game 2.
Ends the game in traditional style. Recall behind the base. The Hive definitely is hype right now. They just took out the kings of the amateur, proving that this is definitely, indeed, the bigger leagues.
Yeah, there's obviously, you know, this is, I don't know if I would say a wake-up call here for NXPE. It's obviously something that they can learn from. That's how I want to look at it, right? Because they can learn from every single time they play against one of these teams. Bren kind of went through this last season, and you can see this refined version of the Hive here tonight.
But just the same, an awesome effort. And I love the vibe that Nexplay EVOS has, even upon losing. It's evident. You can see it in their faces that they're just happy to be here.
Yeah, they're all smiles.
Yeah, they went up against a team that has been on top of the world literally and has hit rock bottom and rebuilt themselves. And you see that Nexplay EVOS looks into Bren Esports' eyes and say, much respect. Thank you for being there before us. This was a good game. That's what I saw.
It was an amazing game. Really did show a lot of the experience coming out from Bren Esports, but there was some promise for Nexplay EVOS. You know, on game number 1, we saw the potential. Game number 2, however, was a different story. It was all about trying to recover from the massive disparity between Bren and NXPE, but few in the squad didn't allow that.
It just, and you know, I said it before we got into the game. I love the Kagura pick, but I feel like it just didn't work there for them. They did have their bases covered for NXPE across the board with the hero picks, but unfortunately, you saw it, right? The struggle to actually find the angles that they wanted, or the picks, even utilizing that Way of the Dragon themselves, or even if it was the Black Dragon form, right? They really didn't have the opportunity that they were looking for. And again, it just shows to that discipline, that veterancy from Bren. I mean, this is what we talked about even previously, where you have that experience, that veterancy kind of flow out to these other members. And now that they're in their sophomore year, you're seeing this a lot with Bren Esports, specifically across the board, every single role, every single player.
And that being said, Bren Esports walks away with all of the points, right? All 3 going to their run in the standings. But I like to think Nexplay EVOS walked away with a few lessons as well. Like, there's a lot of things that they learned here, and we learned a few bits about them too, that Boyet can steal things despite having no business getting them, but also might want to work on that stamina, or at least that mindset. We will hear more about what that might have been like, but for now, let's hear from Bren Esports. They're on stage with Marakino.
Thank you, casters. And now let's congratulate Bren Esports. Total team effort para sa Bren. Ang linis, sobrang ganda ng ginawa nyo. Pero babalikan ko yung game number 1 mo, Kyle TZ, ha? Parang nabawian ka doon, inagawan ka ng retry mga 3 times, pero binawian mo naman ng triple kill. How happy were you with your performance sa game number 1? What happened there?
Medyo hesitation lang po, kaya di po ako makaretry ng maayos.
Ikaw, nag-hesitate?
Opo.
Yan ba yung reason kung bakit nag-switch ka? Kasi napansin namin, nag-Fredrin ka, fighter, tapos nag-switch ka, bumalik ka ng assassin, ng Hayabusa. What was the decision behind that?
Mas ko po kasi, mas comfort ko po yung assassin. So parang mas pinili ko na lang po mag-assassin po ng second game, tapos ibigay na lang po yung Fredrin para counterin na lang po ng Lapu-Lapu.
So you would say, talagang mas komportable ka as assassin.
Opo.
Will we be seeing you doing a fighter anytime soon?
Siguro.
Siguro. Okay. Ito lang, maybe you could answer this, ha. Ang ganda ng start ng game nyo for this week. Sobrang iba kumpara sa pinakita nyo yung first game nyo. What's the difference? What is it about yung first game palagi of the season? Kasi ngayon, it's Friday. Great day for you guys. Sweep!
Di ko rin talaga alam ba't ganun yung first game ng every season namin eh. Pero ngayon kasi sobrang confident na namin maglaro. Parang hindi na namin iniisip na nasa tournament mode kami, ganun. Kung ano yung laro namin sa scrim, ilalabas lang namin.
Does this have to do dahil na 2-0 nyo din yung NXPE the last time you met them? Is this what boosts the confidence also na alam nyo na yung gagawin nyo? Kasi sa ibang, well, they were a different name before, but na 2-0 nyo din sila.
Siguro isang factor din yun nung Cebol Quali kasi 2 beses din namin sila natalo nun eh. Kaya parang mataas na rin talaga yung confidence nila na itong mga kampi ko na kalabanin yung next play.
Coach Ducky, wala ka ah. Last week, how was your Australia trip?
Daming kangaroo.
Anong pasalubong? Anong pasalubong niyo sa kanila?
Kangaroo.
Kangaroo din.
Sa koala.
Okay, so what can you say about your team this season 11?
Di ko alam eh. Pinapanood ko lang sila eh. Hindi, biro lang. I'm quite happy with how we're performing right now. Siguro yung first week, medyo may jitters pa rin kasi we're opening match against Echo. So, medyo mabigat siya. And we all know na malakas naman talaga yung Echo. But yun nga, pagbubutihin pa namin. Maraming kayo natutunan sa Minana. Yun. Tsaka maraming salamat dun sa fans na pumunta today.
NXPE, Coach. NXPE! NXPE! Now, Coach, 2 in a row, 2-0. Yung last game last week, 2-0 sweep, both times a sweep. What do you see is the difference now with Bren Esports? What is it? The mindset? Anong nagbago? Yung disiplina? What is it? Kasi it's a great start to this season.
I think the only thing na nagbago is that we're playing from experience. Kasi last season, maraming rookies dun sa grupo. But now, marami kayo natutunan from last season, dun sa mga napanood namin, particularly ng M4, saka yung qualifiers ng Cebol.
Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you. Ayun, marami kami natutunan. So definitely, we're happy that all the experiences that we've had, we learned from them.
Okay, one last. If you would say na one particular player here really changed, grew even better than last season, who would that be? Sinong...
Mahirap yun. Baka mamaya magtampo sa... Si Kuya Ronel. Si Kuya Ronel. Kuya Ronel. Si Kuya Ronel is very, very big up. But mahirap eh. Lahat sila, individually, marami silang in-improve on. Lalo na kami, na nag-break. I mean, yung off-season break namin, ang dami nilang natutunan, I think, individually. And I cannot take credit for it kasi sariling aral nila yun eh. So I cannot pinpoint kung sino man yung I'm just happy that they're all improving together as a group.
And it's great to have you back
Thank you.
as well. Coach, maghihintay sila sa pasalubong nila. Congratulations once again, Bren
Thank you.
Esports. You may now take your bow and go ahead. It seems like Kyle TZ a lot more comfortable playing as an assassin. At kita naman natin that Bren Esports is off to a great start. And they really want to show that they're true contenders this season 11. Para himayin ang ating laban, balikan natin ang ating casters. Casters, pasok.
Coach Ducky, fresh off of his flight back from his world tour. I mean, the off-season is always interesting, but it's great to hear from him and the rest of Bren Esports as they dominate. And again, as the headline stated, that was a red-hot Nexplay EVOS welcoming them into the big leagues. We're going to go ahead and throw it over to Midnight for him to break down Game 2 and see what lessons Nexplay EVOS might have learned in their defeat here in the hands of Bren Esports.
Well, definitely it was a gift of Bren Esports given to Nexplay EVOS by showing them how to play with patience and respect towards their enemy. Welcome back to the Analyst Stand. My name is Midnight, and we are going to be breaking down as to how Bren Esports was able to dominate Nexplay EVOS, a hot streak team on game number 2. Again, it was a patience game coming up from Bren Esports, but also the fact that they're able to capitalize on the mistakes of NXPE. Now, talking about patience, if there's nothing to be patient on, you play very, very aggressive, and that's what you did against Nexplay EVOS alongside Flapteezy, really punishing and pummeling down the Fredrin in a way that in the early game, the Fredrin does not have physical and magic damage defense. They capitalized on that fact, and they abused the fact that on the side of NXPE, nobody wants to fight yet. The burst damage isn't there from the Kagura, the Brody is farming, and you're also waiting on the levels coming out from the Yuzong. And even if he did participate again, the damage was an issue on the side of NXPE. And what we meant by patience is by waiting for proper timings. Bren Esports did not try to overextend in any single fights in this game. They always waited for the proper opportunities, the proper timings. Even with the battle spells, might I say, they waited it out. we saw Kyle Teasy, hold on to that retribution in a way that when he saw Boyd was farming his own jungle, he was able to take one resource away from the Fredrin. And of course, a lot of them on the side of Bren Esports, especially Few, holding on to that flicker, sometimes dying for a cause, because he knows that he has to reserve that for a specific fight, and that is what allowed Bren Esports to always have this amazing presence on the engagements, because they always have everything that they need. Also, would want to point out Flap TZ did a ton of hero damage in this game. 43,707 damage dealt on the Lapu Lapu. Again, making sure that the game of Boyet was sealed and done on the early game, really punishing and being the threat and counter against the Fredrin on the early game, capitalizing on the fact that there is no physical defense yet on the side of NXPE. And of course, what closed out the game is the presence of Super Marco on this carry. 6, 1, and 4 on the hero. Again, really big presence in this game, shredding through the amount of HPs that NXPE has. And of course, being the tower damage taker, or tower taker for the side of Bren Esports, always converting every single teamfight victory by Bren Esports into an objective. Conversion is really, really important in a game of MLBB, and that is what they did. They get the momentum earlier on. They got the ball rolling for the side of Bren Esports. Even though Super Marco was farming for the majority of the early game, the foundation has been laid out. And what he needs to do is stay away from the potential threats on the side of NXPE, and he did just that. He was always standing away from the threats like Ding, specifically in this example of from the clip. He was always trying to look for better positions to engage into fights, and he knows that his presence in the team fight is really, really important. That's why avoiding death is an absolute necessity for the side of Bren Esports. Even though he did die once during the mid game, come the mid to late game, there was the threat of having that shred damage against NXPE. Nobody on their side can sustain the HP-based damage of Super Marco. And again, the usage of the flickers, it's always to that limit, that certain extent wherein he can push the boundaries of his hero. And again, every single victory that they have, it always converts and leads to an objective. And come the late game, NXP was not able to survive the onslaught of the damage output coming up from a lot of the heroes on the side of Bren Esports, but most importantly, their carry. The shred was there for Bren Esports, and it was necessary to get the victory for the Hive, and that is what happened on game number 2.
Midnight, correct me if I'm wrong, was that 2 back-to-back Super Marco MVP nods and 2 sweeps back-to-back for Bren Esports?
Oh yeah, it is.
Strong start.
On the upswing, Bren Esports.
If you look back on pretty much like the past few months for Bren Esports specifically, even Coach Ducky mentioned it during the interview, everything that they've accomplished up to this point, it's kind of expected, right? I mean, they obviously are that refined version. It started in Season 10 for them, when a lot of that question was there for especially these new names. And I know you did mention, you missed Pandora, but right now, I think across the board, they have a lot to work with.
All right. Well, that being said, congratulations to Bren Esports, and as well, GG well played. Nexplay EVOS on behalf of Midnight and Naisu. My name is Leo, always at your service. Let's throw it over to Mara to close up the show.
Patuloy pa rin ang mission para i-define kung ano nga ba ang bumubuo sa Philippine meta ngayong second week of MPL Philippines Season 11. Today, Ryzen, the unsung hero, steps up against the H2-led team RSG. And meanwhile, Super Marco refuses to be the next in the list of NXPE as he helps Bren lift up with a sweep. Ngayon, first day pa lang yan ng ating second week. Bukas, meron tayong back-to-back games para sa inyong lahat. Kaya huwag niyong imimiss yung araw na yan. Now, I'd like to thank also John, Joseph Lyda for this beautiful outfit that we have. MPL fan and designer, thank you so much. Muli, ako po si Mara Aquino reminding everybody, sa harap man ng pagsubok or tagumpay, huwag kalimutan, itaas ang lakas. Keep it good vibes, everybody, and see you tomorrow.
The 11th season of MPL Philippines is brought to you by the following sponsors. Smart, the official tournament telco partner of MPL Philippines Season 11. Our official sponsor, Infinix. Infinix Note, ultra-fast gameplay. our partners in esports, Maya, it's everything, and a bank, and Secret Lab, the official gaming chair of MPL Philippines. Experience the MPL Philippines Season 11 action live at Shooting Gallery Studios. Tickets are now available via tickettome.net. Get yours now. If you missed the matches and want to quickly recap what happened, visit our official website for post-match reports at ph-mpl.com/news. Don't forget to catch all of our official league content on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. To ensure the quality and fairness of our games, MPL Philippines is also monitored and supervised by the Games and Amusement Board.